Afternoon, fam.
Hey, what's going on, Wayne? How you feeling today, bro?
Man, I'm good, bro. I'm good. How your world, man?
Man, just trying to, damn, what's all of those alerts? But yeah, just trying to get through this week, man. We got a big week coming up with
Yeah.
Jackson Hole and Nvidia earnings. So
Right.
how was your weekend?
Man, it was cool. Did some mental recharging. It's like last week it felt like I had like brain fog, no lie. So I just kind of like just stepped away for a bit from everything, you know?
No, it'd be like that sometimes. It'd be like that sometimes. You gotta step away, and you know how, like, that's one of the rules in the
Hmm.
options trading Bible. If something
Yeah.
not working right, or you get that writer's block, you got to step away from it for a second and come back with fresh eyes or
Right. Right.
mind. So it'd be like that sometimes.
Yeah.
And
Good
And
afternoon.
what's
afternoon.
going on, guys?
I read that in the laws too. So I was just trying to implement it just because I felt off anyway. So I was like, man, let me just step back and chill for a minute. So
Yeah, no, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I mean, last week was an interesting week, but yeah, so it be about that sometimes, man. Because it see, this is the thing though. I'm glad you said that though, because in trading, sometimes it's mental, it's tough, it's tough.
yeah.
It's tough, just to say the least. It's not a easy thing. So when things don't go the way you want them to go, how you handle it can say a lot about, just who, how you are as a person, or just how you feel about your level as a person with the
Good afternoon.
good afternoon.
Okay.
How you feel about your level as a person, and and what you can work on. Because like we talk about this a lot, that if we kind of wait about until two until 5 after 2 to get started. So it's cool. We're just talking about just the market, and just taking breaks and stuff like that. But yeah, it's about that, but it's also about your mental toughness and knowing. So you can lose following your setup and your strategy, and be able to just pick it back up and keep it going, because you like, okay, I know I was following my level. I know I was following my setup, or I was following my plan. So it wasn't like, things happen. You look at it like
Right.
that. But if you just out there just trading, and just doing whatever, it can really get to you, because you don't know what's going on, and you don't really have an idea of if it's you, or if it's it can be a lot of those things. So
Right. Yeah. If you evaluate yourself a little bit more, I feel.
yeah, but it's, if you following your plan, it's easy to just to get right back into it and
Right.
keep it moving. So that'd be the thing for me though, just being able to just like, all right, cool. I know this happened, but let me go ahead and just jump right into what I know, and keep it going. So that's what it'd be about. And then you do that. But if you don't have a structure or anything at all, then it's harder to do that, because you're like, what is my level? I mean, what is my setup? What is my plan?
Yeah. So
So that was good.
Good afternoon, guys.
what's happening, everybody?
Hey, what's going on, Peter?
Not
Hey,
much.
Peter.
One sec. I'm just trying to get. Hold on. We got 1 more minute. Just give people a few more seconds to get in. How was your weekend?
It was all right.
Okay.
Okay.
Kind of exhausting.
Okay. That's good. That's good. That's good. Great. That should be enough time. I saw a few people sign up, so I was just trying to give them some time to get on, but it's okay. We'll just All right. So let's go ahead and just get right into it. All right. By watching or reading this, you're saying you understand the following. I'm not a financial advisor, and this is not trading advice. This is solely for educational purposes. There are significant financial risks associated with options trading, and I'm not liable for your wins or losses in the market. If you decide to act on this information, now let's get to it. So, yeah. So, man, we got a full house this week, man. So we got some Fed speakers coming, but obviously, most importantly, everyone's got their eyes on Jackson Hole this weekend. Well, really, the end of the week, specifically Friday, because Powell speaks at Powell is going to speak Friday. But we got to understand though, so everyone's looking forward to what Powell has to say, but just be aware, that Jackson Hole. We'll talk more about that in later in the meeting, but there are other people that speak at Jackson Hole, besides Powell, that could really impact things too. So just keep that in mind. That it's not just going to be Powell. Obviously, we worried about Powell. So yeah. But so I'm looking forward to it either way. Yeah, so we got a few Fed speakers on Tuesday, 2:30 and 3 p.m. We have we have a Fed speaker on Thursday at noon. We have Fed speaker on Friday at 9:30, and then we got Powell speaking at 10:05 a.m. for Jackson Hole on Friday. On the economic data side, we have the existing home sales. Looking forward to see what that's about. Services PMI on Wednesday, and manufacturing PMI on Wednesday. New home sales on Wednesday. Jobless claims Thursday, and durable goods orders on Thursday. So keep it going. And all right, so this is interesting, man, because this was so look. Now, how the markets do, right? So you see how the markets finished last week, right? And then how we finished this week. So if you look how energy had a strong performance last week too, we had, energy was really strong, and we had, tech was moving too, but obviously energy was just really strong. But if you look at this week, we had strong for energy too, but we had strong for utilities. Healthcare really moved up because Johnson & Johnson just like carried the market, man. It just would not go away. And the whole healthcare sector was moving. But I want to just pay attention to some patterns though. Prior to Walmart earnings, Walmart was one of those stocks that was moving, and a few other stocks. Well, obviously Home Depot was another one. But the markets, when the VIX, we're going to look at the VIX too, because I'm pretty sure the VIX was on the rise. And but the point I'm trying to make is when energy and utilities and healthcare start to really move like that, those are defensive sectors. That's where people go and hide when there's turmoil or uncertainty in the market. The main stocks that drive the market. When the market comes down, that means that those stocks are coming down, but then you got other stocks. So that's why when we think, one tip too, when we know or feel like the market is coming down, or when we feel like tech is going to come down or something like that, and we're going to play the downside or something like that, I think it's best to play a QQQ as opposed to SPY, because QQQ will just drop and SPY will just hold on a little longer, because you got stocks like, you got them energy stocks that are they'll be pushing the market up, and you got the consumer staples to start to move, and you got all of these other sectors where in QQQ you just got some financial stocks, a few financial stocks, but you got mainly big tech in there. So it's just a smoother move on the ETF versus SPY holding on, because you got energy and all these other stocks that they'll start to buy. So just something to keep in mind. Now, we have on here, this is our daily. Let me just turn that bell off. One sec. There we go. So you see on the daily, this was Friday. This was the top calls and puts bought on Friday. Johnson and Johnson led the market. It was all week though, to be honest. We saw that all week. Followed by Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, and TLT. Then on the flip side, we had Tesla puts, Meta puts, Shopify Gold, and Broadcom. On the weekly, we had, for the entire week, we had Johnson & Johnson, Meta, Baba, DoorDash, and I'm not sure what EFA is. On the short side, we had Tesla, well, let's say put side, just put side. Tesla, Nvidia, Microsoft, Apple, and Moderna just did the top 5. So, okay, so question now, where do you think we are now? Does anybody have an idea or thought where we could possibly be now? Ooh,
Are you talking about according to that chart?
yeah, just like where we could be. Yeah, it's just yeah.
I don't know about that, but I think SPY is gonna revisit 433 earlier this week. I didn't like how it closed on Friday. It rejected like a recent supply zone. So I'm thinking it comes down to 433.
I'm gonna bring up the SPY chart when we get to how the SPY part, but that's cool because I was just wondering like where y'all thought we were in the market. Like were we in like denial, fear, desperation, panic?
I think we're in denial too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I can feel that. I can feel that. I think that's the perfect place
I was
because
also with fear, but yeah, the now fear area.
I say denial because I don't think fear started yet. I think people still feel like, oh yeah, it's probably gonna bounce right here, and so yeah. But
Honestly, I was gonna say anxiety.
okay, all right, anxiety. Okay, be anxiety. All right, cool. Look, KD said, man, I'm trying to get to the SPY chart. We all know we getting there, bro. So but yeah, just like Jackson Hole a little bit, right? So we got Jackson Hole Friday, man. For people who don't know, Jackson Hole is an event. Well, Jackson Hole was in Wyoming, but it's just a place where they hold this event, this economic event every year or whatever. So all of the financial reserve and the bank of I believe it's Kansas that holds that's holding the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City. They're the ones that's hosting it or whatever, obviously. And so it's not just Powell there. That's what I was saying earlier. It's not just Powell there. It's anybody that matters in the economy. That's going to be important. It's going to be a lot of speakers. Obviously, Powell is going to be the last, there on Friday. Well, he's there all week, but I'm saying he's going to speak Friday. And this meeting is entitled Structural Change in the Global Economy. So yeah, and so we should see how this happens, man. And again, everybody's, the anticipation for Powell's speech is high, man. And but this is my thing, right? So we already know that how Jackson Hole is. We know it's volatile. We already know it caused volatility. Anytime Powell speaks, it causes volatility. But my thing is for this, to me, this particular meeting now, like from I would say over the last few days, the anticipation for this meeting and the fear for this meeting has risen. So I'm a little apprehensive now because, like KD was just saying, when we get to the SPY chart, we'll talk about it. I got SPY coming down to 431. So I feel exactly where he's coming from. And so I got to get to 433 first. So I feel what he's saying. And but yeah, but I feel like that we're gonna get where we need to go probably, we may get to where we need to go prior to that meeting and or prior to that speech. And if he's not as hawkish, then the market runs off that information. So I'm going to be playing the market according to the ranges and where we are and moving accordingly. I'm not just saying, so obviously last week, I have, Yeah, so we can talk about that a little later, but yeah, I have some puts that don't expire until next month or whatever that I grabbed when SPY was up, and still holding on to those puts. But the whole point is, it's just that if the market continues to fall heading into Jackson Hole, and then Powell comes there and he says everything that we already expected him to say, and it's nothing worse, then the market runs off that information because it's already priced in the move. You know what I'm saying? So we have to see how this plays out. But again, it's going to be very important because there's a lot of unknowns, and it's going to be other speakers that we hear before Powell. So it's just a lot to look forward to. And I just don't want everybody to just be so, well, you know, we got Jackson Hole and just anticipating something to happen that could be happening already. You know what I'm saying? So just don't live in the moment with it. So let's just play the levels and live in the moment with it. So, and I'm gonna get back to the other chart too when we get, as a matter of fact, while we're here, I'm gonna bring it up because I think it's a good opportunity to bring it up real quick again. So let's go here to SPY. And I'm just bringing this chart up because I'm going to go back to Jackson Hole last year again. I posted this chart, but I just want to go over it live for, let's see what, yeah. I'm keeping it on the hour. I'm going to do it like this. There we go. Okay. We should get in there. Okay, cool. We're here now. You can see it's so prominent on here that it's crazy, right? I wanted to go to a session. I wanted to go to the hourly because I wanted to show y'all. So when the situation like is when we had, this was obviously pre-market still, right? So we got some pre-market in here, and this is that 9 o'clock hour. And hold on, I'm just trying to look for, give me 1 second. This is something else. This wasn't it. I'm looking like, where the hell was it? Because it was a rise first before it fell. So I know I'm in the wrong. Okay, I'm over here. Here it is. Yeah, here it is, because it was 10 a.m. when he started to speak. So look, here it is. So look, the market, the last time we had the market came down. So look, the market was coming down. This was the Friday before. Now we remember that this was a different situation. And hold on. Where is it? Give me a second. I'm trying to fix this. Go back to the daily. Hold on. The point I'm trying to make is, while I'm looking for this, because this chart, then I'll go back down the right way, is that the market rose a little bit before, but the market was up. It was a little elevated. And so it was just a little different than what we have right now. And the market's selling off. Like, the market is just really selling off right now on heading into Jackson Hole, and the market came up a lot. So we gotta be clear about that too. We had a big move in the market already, so it's not like the market was down. So all right, so here we go. All right, so look, you see how the market moved ahead of that the previous Jackson Hole. We even got a gap up or whatever, and then the market came down. But if you look, it had been moving up for a little while. It had started moving back up for a little while, right? And so we had to move up. And 1 second, I'm just trying to get to a specific point of this. Give me 1 sec. There we go. All right, cool. All right. And now if I switch this back over, hopefully it stays in the area that I'm in because I had this set earlier and for some reason it's just acting weird. Well, now, all right, cool. So now let's do this again. I know it's gonna mess up, but it's cool. If it does, then it's fine. It's cool. It's important, so it's cool. It's not like this is important, so I want to go over it. All right, so we here. It wasn't that hard to do. But you know how when you about to show something and then you see something else. So I'm like, I saw something else that got my attention too. Like, cool, man. But we are all right. So this was the day here. All right. And so you see how the market was still, we had a different market. Everything was going in and we weren't expecting that to happen. And then everything just kind of died. But it just pretty much gave up the gains that we were getting back because the market had already been coming down, right? So, but then it died. So I wanted to show this for a reason. So, because you hear me talking and I'm saying, well, look, what if the move is already priced in? I mean, what if we continue to fall and the move is actually priced in? But we got to be careful with that type of terminology when it comes to the Fed, because if you look at this at the previous, and I'm gonna go back to the daily now because we don't need that much, that many candles on here. So we know that what we're looking at now. And so if we look at how the market was moving heading into that particular meeting, how much of the gains that we gave up from here. So obviously this was the beginning of the year and then we kind of came down. Now, June, everybody remember June. We had a crazy June with CPI and everything dropped. Then the market started going back up because the market moves in waves. Heading into Jackson Hole, ran all the way up here. We came down, we opened this up a little bit. And then this was Jackson Hole right here. But you see how the market was moving around. This almost looked like what's going on right now. If you look at it, I'm gonna go over to what's going on now. So if the market drops a little bit, people will be like, okay, well, damn, well, the market dropped. Because this is what I'm talking about now. I'm talking about how, well, the market, what if it prices it in or something? So market comes down here. Here is the day of Jackson Hole, and then it drops, and then we go even lower. So we can't say that. We can't necessarily say that. It all depends on what this guy says and what the sentiment of that whole conference is. So, and now here we are now, and this is how we finished on Friday, right? But we got this 21 about to cross back below the 50 on the it's obviously non-session, but I'm just showing. I wanted to show this chart because of the fact that that was a huge candle, and we also had a lot of volatility. So I just don't want, we can't get caught up in the whole fact that that we can't get a bigger move. Now we got other things happening this week too that we're going to actually get into. But does anybody have any thoughts or comments on Jackson Hole before I move on? Or because I know that
I think with Jackson Hole, Powell is able to be a lot more free than FOMC meeting. So whatever he let out that he didn't say at FOMC, he'll say it then. So
that's true. That's true. That's true. Good point. Good point. That's even more fear into what could possibly happen. Now, what I want to do, we're gonna go to SPY first because we got to talk about SPY. So what's up with SPY, man? Let's go take a look at it and find out. So SPY, I'm gonna make this one chart for a second before we just do it like this. Get one chart. So this is how we finished, man. And I got this a little dark, and just excuse me, but so KD was saying, well, let me just turn this on for a second, make this a little lighter. Go from there. But yeah, so I got it already. I can look, so we got this retest here happening. now. So, but look, we fully closed the gap, and we back up, and we closed back above this key level that we lost. We gapped down and we closed back up here. So we closed the gap, the bearish gap, and closed right back, just right above my key level here. So I can make it a little better because I got it dark. Let me just make it a little, put a darker line here, a lighter line here. So SPY closed just above this key level. So it closed the gap. That was bullish, man, for them to do that. Look, the volume even came in and took out the highest volume of the week. The previous day was the highest volume of the week, and it was bearish. We came in and took out the highest volume of the week to make that close, right? So I look like what I'm looking at right here, look like a 222 reversal is going to happen. Now, what could possibly happen? I'm not this bullish, but what they could do with a close like that, I don't know where the no, that's cool. Yeah, so I feel like we could possibly go back up, and I really don't think it's going to happen, but we could go back up and retest the 50 first, reject that, and then die. But we did close above this key level, man, and it fully closed that bearish gap. So that is bullish, but for them to do that after everything that we went through, and that's just, let me see what how the weekly finished, because the weekly was ugly. See, man, I look at the weekly and then that changes my mind. Like, you know what I'm saying? So either way, what I'm saying is I'm looking for some sort of retest before a continuation down. Now I'm gonna go back to the daily before. I just wanted to see what that weekly looked like. That weekly was ugly. So my level here, I have this level here, my 431 as the next key level that it'll hit on the way down. So, but I got to get the 443 first. KD said 433. Got to get there before it comes down. But this was a solid close. This can't be ignored. Now, we do have some earnings coming up this week. So, and they were in what I saw at the end of the day, outside of what happened with Johnson & Johnson, I saw stocks that were oversold, and investors coming in and buying those stocks at cheaper prices. Like Meta, for example, they came in and bought that up at the end of the day, but that was the second most on the week. That stock had the second highest call volume to close the week, and obviously Johnson & Johnson was number one. But so they came in and obviously buying up NVIDIA. But that's what I was telling y'all Friday morning, to watch NVIDIA, because it was getting closer to 400. It had got all the way down to 415. So, and that's why I had to post in the chat, like, look, well, watch this one, because now it's down, NVIDIA down in that level, anything closer to 400. If the valuation and the numbers that they already told us that they're going to produce at earnings, if they do that, now I'm not trying to go off topic yet, because we didn't get to that part yet, but we are talking about it. So if the earnings that they're talking about, that the numbers they told us that they were expecting for this particular quarter are those numbers, NVIDIA being around closer to 400 isn't that move wouldn't be priced in that regard. You know what I mean? It would be like, because Wells Fargo gave them a price target of 500, but last week it was back above, it hit 450 again last week. So, and that was the morning that they got that price target upgrade. And so I'm like, well, man, it's the move. It was just a little too extended for me, man. And I still feel to this day, and we'll get to that chart in a second. But the reason I'm talking about that is because if the market starts to surge on Monday, or just NVIDIA's earnings on Wednesday after the close, in a perfect world, for me, in a perfect world, the stock in the market, the whole market, and especially NVIDIA, they'll keep selling off heading into the earnings, keep it down closer to 400, and then the stock would run. I believe the stock would run. But if this stock runs and continues to move how it's been moving, and it does that heading into the earnings print, I think it's going to fall off a cliff because I just don't see how they would be able to keep. I just don't see. Like we talked about this on Zoom on I think it was, I don't know what day it was, but and we'll get to that in a little while. But just to finish this thought, if Wells Fargo, just using them as an example, saying NVIDIA they have a price target for NVIDIA of 500. So they're evaluating the stock at $500 per share. And the stock starts to run closer to 500 heading into earnings, right? And we get to earnings and they produce some numbers that says, okay, they guide up and they have a good outlook on the next year or whatever, but it doesn't exceed that $500 valuation that they were given. You know what I mean? Then that would mean the move would be priced in, and most investors would be like, okay, well, if they evaluated this at $500 and the stock is at 480, let me go ahead and take my profit, because look, NVIDIA has been running since last earnings. And matter of fact, I'm gonna go over there real quick since I gotta go over there now because we just been talking about it, and I ain't gonna change the other chart because I got Tesla on there. We gotta hit that one. But just looking at this, for example, I like the chart, man. I like the way it closed. It was a bullish finish. They got up there and finished with a bullish pin bar hammer, almost like a hammer. But that was bullish, man. Meta did the same thing for it to get back up there like that and close over that 50. But we already know it's a lot of FOMO included in what's going on with NVIDIA right now. So that's one thing. Another thing, what I'm saying is if the stock is closer to 500 heading into earnings, and they don't give us anything, they don't blow out the guidance that they projected for last quarter, that they projected for this quarter, last quarter, the stock falls off a cliff. Just simple as that. Microsoft had a great earnings, but the move was priced in, you know. Walmart had an amazing earnings, right? But when they got on that earnings call, even before the earnings call, you see what happened, man. It was they got it up, and they beat on EPS and revenue. They smashed it, and they see great things to continue for them. But it just wasn't enough to hold on to that run up that it had heading into earnings. So that's all I'm saying. You know, since I wanted to show y'all this chart for a reason. Look at this. This was last earnings right here. So NVIDIA it was right here, pulled back heading into last earnings, right? It pulled back, it had ran all the way up to 318, pulled back down, hit all the way down to 300, closed here, and then it gapped up, you know, so it ran all up into the finish of the after hours session, and then it continued. And so since the last earnings, so let's just go from that. So let's just give it this 380. Let's just say, because it opened here, let's just say that 385. Man, we went all the way up to, what's that, 370, 380, 388 was the high. So we ran like $100 from after earnings. I'm not even including before earnings, because if we do that, we ran like $200 since the last earnings. You know, so that's a lot. So a lot of this, so what part of this is FOMO and which part of it is really valuation? You know what I mean? So when they unpack that number and they start unpacking those their actual projections and go through that, then we'll see. But again, if they just produce that number that they said they were produced for guidance, that they saw for next quarter, and they just meet the estimates for revenue and EPS, I still think the stock falls off the cliff. They gotta blow that guidance out of the park for this stock to move. And it has some room to come back nicely too, man. So, you know, and what I was looking at personally, I feel like if NVIDIA was to not miss, but if our guidance was to come in lighter than expected, definitely curious to hear your thoughts too, Katie. But I got a few places that I feel like
talking about the video.
Yeah.
Just looking at that weekly hammer it had a lot of volume, but they pushed it down a bit. So like you said, they'll probably pin it down to like 434, something like that. And like you said, if it loses 400, I could see it got a huge area to fill all the way down to like 320, like something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm saying if they hold it, if it doesn't, like for example, if heading into earnings, they can keep it somewhere like around this 50, because again, remember, the 50 EMA is the stock's mean value, so most stocks, they always revert back to the mean, right? So right now in this area, it's fairly priced. It's cool. It's not extended too far beyond its mean. But when it starts to extend so far away from the 50, that's when you have a problem on the stock. Now look at the last earnings. So it was right here. So it had pulled back some. But then but look, we gotta also, one thing I want to point out that I don't think that we were considering too, for anybody that's thinking about playing this stock to either side, I want you to consider this one most important thing. If I ain't say anything else, last earnings, they were only pricing in like a $12 or $13 move in the video. They were only pricing in a $12 or $13 move in the stock. This time they're pricing in a $50 move. So it was easy to move beyond the expected move and to make money off that stock. And they just continued to run because, so if they were only pricing in a 12, let's just say like $15 move, just to add, if they're only pricing in a move that would, something of that magnitude, right? That's small, right? That means they weren't expecting the stock to move that much. They weren't expecting the earnings to be much because they had missed 2 earnings in a row. You know what I'm saying? So when that happens, the stock starts to, they like, okay, well, this is what their guidance is. They weren't projecting much, and the stock didn't. So they weren't pricing in that much of a move. So it was a huge surprise that sent the stock running. Because remember, I tell y'all this all the time, stocks don't move off of numbers. They move off of surprises. So if they're saying, okay, NVIDIA they're the leader in the AI space, they're running with that buzzword right now, and we know that they're leading in that space and they can pull it off or whatever. So we saying they're going to produce this and they're going to produce that. And this is the number that we think they're going to get, which is an astronomical number. If they hit the number, there's no surprise, because if they hit the number, this is the number that the analysts already thought they were going to hit. And the price of the stock tells that already. Now, before their last earnings, it was all the way down here. It was still like, it was barely getting back above 300. It was above 300, but it was like, we thinking it was probably going to go somewhere, but not like that, right? They smashed the earnings so hard, man. And so yeah, it ate the expected move like times. What's that? Yeah, man, I just like, damn, like times 8. You know what I mean? So it went like 8 times the expected move last quarter. And so now everybody's thinking, well, it's going straight to 500. It's going straight to 500. But like I said, if they produce a number that's what they were expecting, there's no surprise there. It's like, okay, the show's over. There's no more hype here to see. And the stock falls down for a while. And then, yeah, they pull that stock back down again. And investors going to buy the dip on it. I say if they're expecting a $50 move in this stock, man, and that's why I like this 400 price level. I like the 400 price level, but I also like this 385 price level too, because if they're expecting a $50 move and they don't produce the numbers that they say that, or it's not as powerful as we expect it to be, it can easily come back down to 385. It can easily come back down here to 385. And that would be a nice move, because where did they close? It closed at 430. 432, 430, about 433. So that a $50 move would take it down to, it's at 480. I'm sorry, 380. 380? Is that 380? Yeah, 380. So, damn, that'd be an interesting move, man. But that would, you know what? And that's interesting too, because look, that would take it right back down here to like, it still would be above the last earnings gap. It wouldn't take it below that earnings gap still. So that $50 move down would still have it some cushion above its last earnings gap. And again, remember, earnings are based off a surprise. And if they don't produce a number that's greater than what we thought, then because that'll be a surprise too. That'll be a surprise for a lot of people, and it'll start to come down, but then the dust will settle, and the real investors, I believe they defend it down here. I don't think they'll let it probably drop lower than that unless they come out and the earnings just are bad. I don't see how it could be bad, but, or let's just say if they missed EPS or revenue or something, or got it down, one of those things that could cause the stock, because you can miss revenue and then still guide up, but then it's like, what? It still takes some strength away from the stock. So, but yeah, there's only one way for it to break up and go. Again, if it stays down here in this area, and it stays close to this area, and it doesn't go crazy this week heading into earnings, then okay, it can break out and run $50. That's cool. That won't even take out the all-time high if it did that, right? Or it would, yeah, it would get us closer. But I'm saying if it stays down here, if it stays around here, and I feel like there should be some more volatility in this market heading into this, with Jackson Hole possibly. So we'll see how they carry the market tomorrow. But yeah, having it around here to me is good for the bulls, because then it's not an exaggerated price in my opinion, and it can still move if they produce an okay earnings. But like I said, if it keeps running the way it did, and just keep in mind, even if we just look at the last earnings move, if we just give it this level here, which would be so 385. So 385 was where it opened from the last earnings after it beat the last earnings, because it closed at 302. Closed at 305. So it ran $80. It ran $80 overnight. So if it was to just hang out around there, I feel like that still would be cool, right? Because since that 385 up to where it is now, 385. Yeah, that's still a crazy move. That's still over $50 about that. That's still like about a $50, almost a $50 move that the stock made after it beat earnings, right? So, and I ain't talking about the all-time high, I'm saying to where it is now. So we can give that up and still come back down and hold that move, or we can go back up and test the all-time high. So yeah, it can go either way, but I really think it's going to be based off of that information. But yeah, I'm more bearish than anything, man, because I just think it's just too overhyped, and we just not considering that they're pricing in. And again, even if the earnings aren't bearish, I want to keep pointing that out. Let's say they smash earnings and it runs. So like, let's just say it's right here, 385 or whatever. I'm sorry, 433 or whatever. If it doesn't take out the all-time high, then it still moves within the expected move and you still get clapped. It has to move $50, and they may take it up even more heading into earnings. I don't see why they wouldn't, unless it moved crazy before the earnings. But yeah, so it's just going to be one of them crazy stocks where if you play this, either way, it has to make a big move. So the fact that it's running, it's, in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with if you're going to play something like this for earnings. Again, that's just on you. That's all I can say about that, man. Because, and if you are, then like I said, I'm just more bearish on the situation, because it's just so overhauled right now and it needs to cool off. And we'll see if their numbers say we don't need to cool off, then it doesn't need to cool off. But I'm not convinced right now they'll do that. But yeah, any thoughts on this? Any questions about it? So just to be clear, no questions about NVIDIA earnings. Cool. All right, cool. Because I don't want nobody, have a problem with me not answering no questions about NVIDIA later on in the week. So, all right, that's cool. So I'm gonna go over to Tesla, man. Tesla chart, man, it's interesting chart. So this is Tesla right here on the daily. Look at this trend. So we got here, we got a high here, we got a low here, we got a high here, and we got a higher low here. So it's Tesla, Tesla's at this level here. So what we gonna do here, Tesla, man? I'm waiting to see. I mean, it still has some downside left in it where it can still respect this trend and move. So I'm with it, man. I'm ready for it. If Tesla gets down here, I'm all in. You know what I mean? For that move up here. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to come all the way down here, but the way the market is moving and how weak it was last week. And then we also got to look, Tesla did run up too, man. So now it's pulling back. I was telling y'all last week, it was a few stocks that got hit, And so Tesla was one of those stocks that got hit the hardest last week. They got Microsoft first, they moved on to Tesla, they started to hit Meta. And so it's up for it's the NVIDIA right now. That's the next one left to get hit. So we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, I like this Tesla chart, man. This is a really nice chart. I like this chart. And these are the best setups to me because these give you those bigger moves where you can actually add time to these plays and make a nice move on them and nice longer swings on a stock like this, even a regular trade. So like we were talking about this before most of y'all got on here about a few people said they, were saying they took a break last week and from trading and I was saying that that pretty much you can trade your best setup and sometimes it just still won't work, but that shouldn't deter you from trading necessarily. Now, unless, let's say if you're doing your best and you're trading your setup and it just don't work and it's just not working, yeah, it's cool to take a step back because sometimes it could be you and you just need fresh eyes or you just need a break from the market or just the market's not working. We got to understand that regardless of how much you learn in trading, no matter how much you study and practice, there's still some people like the trade still because they got that gambler tendencies, that gambler urge inside of them, right? So, and it happens to all of us sometimes too. We were talking about it on Zoom on Tuesday, and regardless of what you do, sometimes you have to snap out of it and just realize or you may be trying to revenge trade or something. So it's just best to just take a break and just look at it with a fresh outlook because, you can trade it with emotions, especially you don't even realize that's what you're doing. But I'm saying that to say that if you got to me, this is the perfect setup. Now we talking about it before it happens now. So look, so Tesla's at a key level right now. I shaded it in yellow, right? So it could hold this area here, but I'm like, Tesla could come all the way down. So if it doesn't bounce here, my real level is here, meaning for that uptrend, right? And it's tested it already, but look how long it's respected this uptrend since it started. What was this? January of this year when it started it. So it's been holding it for most of the year. I've seen some trends break down this year that's been held up. Now, if it came down, I got another level right here, but I got my levels, but I wouldn't want it to break this uptrend. Definitely wouldn't want that to happen. This is my key to buy here. Now, this obviously it's a cool level here, but I want this trend, right? I want this. If it was to come here, perfect entry for me for Tesla, I would like to get it here. Stronger level is here though, this area here. But I would buy Tesla here. Now, let's say if I bought Tesla here, where would you put your stop loss if you bought Tesla here? If you bought Tesla calls here, where would your stop loss go? Not KD. Anybody got an answer? Anybody got a thought?
Once it,
Can you repeat it? My bad, bro.
Yeah, man.
What you say, Wayne? My bad.
And once we break the trend line and close under that,
Okay, well, you saying close. This is all right. So this is the daily. So if you were all right,
Okay.
so if you trading this on here, all right. So if you trading this on the daily, that's a good. I like what you said. All right. So yeah, this is a daily. So that mean if I'm trading off of this and I ain't using no other time frame for this one, just saying for this, then this would be a swing trade then, right? So yeah. So if for me to my trend, I mean my stop loss would be under this trend, right? So but me, I like to give it margin. I like to give a little bit of margin because, and like you said, I want that close. I need that candle confirmation because if this is a daily chart, I'm not gonna freak out the moment it pulls right under this because they be chasing stops. They be hunting stops and they know you got your stop loss right there. They're gonna hit that stop. It's gonna get wiki right there and it's gonna take off. That happens a lot. Now, it's nothing wrong with that because sometimes some people are more conservative traders or just long-term investors. And they say, well, I don't think it should have ever gotten to the point where it even broke down, and just having to stop there, that's fine. Because a lot of times it doesn't break, but I like to give a little bit of margin. So yeah, I agree with you, but on the daily, I would definitely, because this would be a swing, I would definitely give it a little margin. But if it closes, so that means, and when we say give it some margin and we're waiting for a candle confirmation, that means that if it breaks this wedge or this uptrend, we're not looking to just sell immediately. We want to see how that candle closed, because right here, I'll give you an example. You see, this probably not, well, I don't have one on this chart. I'll definitely have another chart, but you'll see a wick come down and you'll get that head fake or whatever, where you get the little wick come down, but then the candle comes back up and it closes above the breakout area. So because it's all about opens and closes, you know what I mean? That's the structure. And then there are other instances where the fact that it took the level out does matter, right? But I'm looking at where it closed and whether the candle still closed bullish or bearish, because taking out the candle is one thing, but taking it out, still closing above it and then closing bearish is still a thing. You know what I mean? So I like those resilient situations where we get that bounce and we close bullish. You know what I mean? That's a good thing. But yeah, we definitely not just looking to sell because a level got breached. If I'm selling, I got a candle confirmation because I waited for a candle confirmation in order to get into the trade. So I'm going to use the same tactic to get out of the trade. Now, obviously, there are different levels to every situation, but in every situation calls for something different. But this would be a swing trade for sure. This isn't an intraday trade because I'm looking, because, if I'm looking at this bounce right here, there's no way this is playing out the way I want it to play out in one day. Look at this huge bounce. So the first bounce we had in January, it bounced here. This was at 10, let's just say 105. It went all the way up to 212, all the way up to 212. So 105 to 212, that's a huge move. So that's a long swing. So how long do I think it's going to take for that to happen? So I'm not, but look, so if I'm buying this play or whatever, then I'm buying 6 months to a year, maybe on that trade, maybe 6 months on that trade. But I'm buying, look how far out of the money I'm buying on that trade, because I'm like, I would have probably got like a 150 or something, and then went 6 months but then you got to think about the stock you're trading and say how long it's really going to take, because Tesla has an ATR of about $10 a day. So it may not take that long for Tesla to move there, but it doesn't mean it's going to keep going up every day. You got pulses and waves in the market, right? So a stock like, so yeah, it all depends, but I'm saying, I'm looking at it like this. It bounced here, how long it takes to get up here, but I'm looking at this whole trend. If I put the top here, so I'm like, if it bounces here, we got some move. I'm looking for at least a move up to 350, you know what I mean? At least to get back up to, is this my 50 here? Yeah, I think this is my 50. That's got another color. I'm looking at least to get back up near my 50. And by that time, my 50 gonna come back down. But I'm just saying, to where my 50 is, I'm looking to get back up in this area up here. So like above 250. So from down here, I will be looking for a good $40 move on Tesla So I would, I'm putting some time on that contract. And so I'm not worried about if it come down a few days and move, long as it holds the structure. I'm adding to that position off of certain key levels. I'm not just going, every time it pulls back, I'm not just adding to that position on day 1 or 2 when it's pulling back, because I got a full plan on this position to hold it for a while until it gets to a certain price level. So I want my money, and I want the trade. I want to build that trade accordingly. I'm not gonna, the first pullback it gives me, I'm adding to that position down here, and then it end up breaking, and now I'm in a crazy situation because I over leverage on a trade that's supposed to last me for probably a few weeks. So I'm waiting to see. And then the longer you hold in the trade, the closer you're getting to the expiry, the cheaper it could possibly get if it's not going up. Higher the theta is going to be getting, the closer it gets to the expiry. So it's so many factors so that's why I always say, I know we talk about this a lot, but like every trade ain't for everybody, so you got to realize like what trade, what story this stock is telling, like what chart did he call this trade off of? And obviously we doing longer swings. We typically talk about it, or if we looking for certain things to happen, if they don't happen, and we, like I know we were talking about like for Snapchat's earnings or whatever, we played Snapchat earnings, and and I was telling the team on Zoom that day, I'm like, man, well, we bought over a month on those contracts. We bought a monthly over a month out, because I'm like, well, this contract, this put is going to play out at some point before this contract expires. It's going to give in. It's going to give out some at some point. And if you looked at the way that chart builded and the way it played out, those contracts ended up going up like over 100 and like 150%, 147% before the expiry. But when it finally broke in one direction, so you gotta, as long as you give time, on the time in the market is leverage to you. The market is gonna move at some point. They can't hold their breath that long. It's gonna move. But the worst thing to happen is when it moves when you're running out of time. So yeah, but I just it's just so much to look at. It's so much to look at, so much to consider. What's up, Wayne?
I was gonna say, you asked what would you cut it? Would you look at the 200 to 195 level if it breaks that as a cut?
I'm just saying this line right here. Like if it was to come down, if it was to, like if I was trading this uptrend, the moment it loses this level and it closed under this level, I'm out of that trade. It's over. It's nothing else, because now it's like I'm trading. Now what I'm doing, if I do anything else outside of that, I'm moving around. Now I'm just I'm forcing something to happen now, because I'm forcing something to happen now because what was the when we was looking at that chart on the different, hold on, let me see what it was. I'm gonna see what level, what was the name they called it. Denial. I couldn't think of the word. You would be in denial now. It's like if we got this structure and we saying this is the reason why we're taking this trade, and this is the setup we see. If it breaks below here and it closed below it, it's over. So these are the rules that I'm following. You know what I'm saying? So if it closed below that level, it's over. So it's just like, but this is what I'm saying. But if I start, that's what I'm saying. If I know this is a long position, and if it loses this level, then that means that it did it in the early stages of my trade. So I'm not, if I know, like I said, if I know I'm holding, it's going to take a while for Tesla to get from, let's just use this level, let's just say 210. It's going to take a while for Tesla to get from 210 to 250. That's a $40 move, right? So I'm just going to say hypothetically, I'm going to throw a month on that contract at least, right? And throw at least a month on that contract, 2 months on that contract, just to cover the theta. But I'm only going to grab, I'm not going to, because I build my positions. I'm in my head. I'm like, okay, I'm going to build this position. I want to be able to play defense on this position. So if I know I'm climbing this mountain and it's going to take me a month to get up to the top of this mountain, or a week, I'm not going to drink all of my water at day one, because then what? You know, I'm going to pace myself. I'm at each point, retest of each level. After I break one new level, and I retest that, you know, because it's supply and demand, and you got your support and resistance. Supports turn into old resistance turns into new supports. Old resistance turn into new support. So once it breaks those resistance and it comes back and retest and solidify that support, that's a entry. That's another place where I can add to my position. You know what I mean? So I'm only adding at support when it retest supports, the new support. So each new floor it goes on to, it comes back and solidify that's a solid level. We adding at those levels and we moving on. Anything outside of that is just like you just doing anything. You know what I mean? You gotta, because and the reason I'm saying that, because at this point I probably only have one contract. Because I'm not looking for, it's not like it's a bull flag breakout that I'm trading on a 5-minute or a session hour where I'm looking for a big explosive move to happen right now. So I'm gonna grab 30 contracts because in 5 minutes, I know this gonna take off, and I can shave half of my position in 5 minutes. And then in 5 more minutes, I can take off another half of my position. And then I may keep a few runners because I'm up so much. You know what I mean? That's when you go big on the trade. If you got a swing that you know you're building and you know it's gonna take a while, you grab a contract, you know, so that means your emotions aren't going to be involved if it break this key level. If it lose the key level, the trade is over. Like, all right, it broke the level. We got the candle confirmation. I'm cutting the trade and I'm moving on. Because I lived the trade another day, I got out with a low risk. I'm managing my risk appropriately because I didn't go crazy on this contract. You know, I believe any trade that I get in, I believe in, or I wouldn't get in the trade at all. But I'm not going to go crazy on the trade based because I believe in it. I'm gonna go crazy on the trade based off the setup. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I always say you gotta look at the setup on the trade. So if I'm trading this setup, this it's a different way you play each setup. Like if you play sports or whatever, if you plan this setup or whatever, or this is a play you're doing, your formation gonna be like this. You're not gonna play every single play the same way. You see certain things going on, you switch around based off that. So it all depends. So, and if you unsure about those things, this is where you would ask questions. So, going forward, this was going on. Cause like last week, the team and I, we were on Zoom. So y'all got to talk about this though. So cause y'all weren't on there. It was like, but that was some good discussion. What was really just a lot of me talking, but we were in some trades, right? And Home Depot had just had earnings. So Home Depot just had earnings. And because Home Depot reports in the morning, not at night. And so I'm like, well, if it breaks, whatever level it was at, it was 33. Just know that, because I don't know if it was like 200, 300, but like it was 33. I'm like, if it breaks 33, it's going to 38. That's our target or whatever, I believe. And it broke that level, but it broke it early, and it was gone or whatever. But it was a lot going on in the market that day, and we were already in trades. So I didn't trade Home Depot. I didn't have time to trade Home Depot because it was just but my plan was to trade it though. Just got, on Zoom, I'm gonna, do something. But while that was going on, we were neglecting other trades, right? And something happened. I don't know what it was that happened right away. But yeah, the market, because the night before it was something that went on with China or whatever, and their data came out. It just wasn't good, and the market kind of fell off a cliff. But we started coming back, and we talked. The reason I'm bringing this up, because there was so many keys that came out of the conversation we had on Zoom, and I wanted to share it with everybody. So the number one thing, well, let's see, where do I start? But yeah, so the number one key, all right, we're gonna start with number one. Number one, we always talk about earnings plays and how trading earnings is obviously a lotto trade, is a gamble. And just we always like down people who play earnings and all of that. But the day after earnings, while the market is open, if you trade earnings that day too, it's risky, but so, and most of the time it's gonna give you a big move in one direction or the other, and it's gonna happen quickly. Sometimes they take profit and it moves. But yeah, but the thought of catching that move right after the market opens is risky, and it's like it's it got gambling tendencies to it also. So, and I was just telling the team about myself, I'm like, man, you know what? So just because we ain't play earnings or whatever, just like we do want to trade stocks with high volume. That's the blood of the stock market. We want to trade stocks with high blood pressure. But if you can't, if you already in trades, you got to manage those trades first. And that's why one of the laws or the rules to the option trade in the option trading Bible is to manage those, don't have more than 2 trades, right? Especially if you're trading some volatile stuff and it's short-term trades. So right before the market opened on Tuesday, they ran SPY, and everything was dead. It was already coming down. What they did right before the market opened was they took it up real quick. Not too much, but they took it up. And I'm on Meta, but I gotta go to SPY for a second. But they took the market up. They took it up real quick, just a little bit before they flushed it down. But they did that because, think about it, the market was already down. So most people going to sell at market open, and that, because everything's down. So, just whatever recourse you have, go ahead, just jump out of those trades and sell, right? So, but they took it up right before the market opened, and it wasn't even that long of a move. I'm trying to find the date. All right, yeah, Tuesday. Yeah. So they did that, right? But the market still was bearish, right? And it flushed down. But when the market is open and it wasn't even 5 minutes before everything started coming down, but Home Depot was still going up. Now keep in mind, so we had Home Depot up on the screen and we watching Home Depot, but I had other screens up, and I'm telling the team, I'm like, well, man, Meta just rejected the 9 EMA on the daily, and SPY did too. And so still watching Home Depot, which was still going up. And next thing you know, everything just kind of flushed. Everything just started flushing down. And so, but before the market, I knew we were going to pay attention to Home Depot, and we were going to kind of like be locked in on Zoom. So what I did was I wrote up a nice plan for the whole team, so they knew exactly what levels to get out of trades and stuff like that, so they would be fine. But on Zoom, we kind of like, well, I was locked in on Home Depot, not following my own trading plan, and those trades that we were in just kind of like, they got clapped. They were getting clapped. So I told the team, because I just had to have a conversation with the team, because everybody was on Zoom. I'm like, look, I want y'all to know this, man. I'm like, that was an F up, what happened with this morning. And I said, I can't lie and blame it on Home Depot, because I saw when Meta rejected the 9 EMA on the session hour. I mean, on the daily, I saw it, but I was locked in on what I was locked in on. And so that's no excuse. So I'm like, I'm just letting y'all know that. I said, but this is what we're going to do. I said, we're going to, and it wasn't no, and I kind of broke it down to them. I'm like, man, there's some stubborn stuff that we doing, but I said, but it's context to it. I said, we cut those trades now, because it wasn't even that much longer afterwards, but those trades, they were down a lot, but it wasn't like dead a lot. It was just, they were down a lot, right? So like a good 40%, 50% even at some point. And I'm like, well, I told him, I said, well, this is what we can do. I said, I'm looking at SPY, and SPY is almost at my demand zone. So why would we cut it now when it's about to bounce off the demand zone? We're going to hold these, and we're going to get these trades back. And I had a one-on-one coming up at like 11:30. I said, I'm at 11 o'clock. I'm like, I'm going to stay on here just to nurse these trades back first, and then I'm going to hop off here. So we were able to, I averaged down on those trades, and I got back every single penny that I, was down on. and, you know, got out of those trades. But the whole point was with that situation was, it was, yeah, sometimes you be in a situation and you looking at something, and this is why it's important. If I was just watching SPY and I saw the market just flush, I would have cut those trades. They would have just been, that would have been the thing. But Home Depot was going up, and that was the chart that I was tunnel vision on, because I was trying to find a trade on that one. And that trade did play out, but I didn't trade it because it was just too much going on. But the whole point is you gotta focus on whatever you're gonna trade. And what we did doesn't always work. But I'm gonna tell y'all, if there was no SPY key level coming up, no strong demand zone coming up, we would have just had to cut those trades, because that's what you have to do. We missed our chance to get out of those trades earlier. And but I was talking to KK about this the other day, and one thing I know, because like one thing I try to do is I try to train my team to be even better than me, because if you know you only strong as your weakest link, and if I'm tunnel vision on something and we're on Zoom together or in a group together, and you see something, you can say something. Like one thing I can say KD does, he'll do it a lot. He'll say, I'll be locked in on something, and KD be like, well, man, I see this level right here, man. You gotta watch this level. And I'm like, man, KD, whatever, man. I still go look though. I'm like, oh shit, he's right. So yeah, it'll calm me down a little bit. Or one time we were on Zoom, and Kevin, Potato Trader, he was on here. It was me, him, and KK on here, and I saw SPY going up. And it was going up, and it was one of them days where it was just moving. And Potato Trader was like, well, I see it looked like it's about to do something. He was saying it was coming, but it was a bearish move or whatever. And I'm like, man, you probably looking at the wrong time frame or something. So then he said it again. He's like, man, I pulled over on the side of the road. And so I said, man, let me look at what he's talking about. So I looked at the chart setup. I'm like, oh, I see it too. You know, I see it too now. So it's like sometimes somebody can come in and see something that you didn't see, you know, based off of what they're looking at. And you gotta, especially if they can give you some context and you just pull it up, you can see some things. So it's good to have people that are also there or that are also on point, or that's taking the information that they're learning and not just trading and moving on to the next trade. Because I know, for example, KK, those like at market open, those meta contracts, they went up immediately. She would have got out of the trade because the overall market was coming down, and they did run it up for a second. And I know she would have gotten out of the trade, because, you know, that's something that she would have did. That's her risk management thing. She don't blindly trade or whatever. And we swing those trades. We know what time we're going to get out of those trades. And but we looking for that move, and you would have just been happy to be able to get out of that trade unscathed. But again, trying to add another stock to the mix. Like I said, I'm taking full responsibility for not being on point. That's just the whole point. You know, like I'm not going to sugarcoat that. Like when you're not on point and that's a gambling tendency. When I'm like, well, let me go ahead and trade. I want to trade Home Depot because I knew. And again, I did chart it. It wasn't like something I didn't chart. And I like to trade stocks the day after earnings, because now we have a catalyst that's going to create high volume, and that's what we're looking for. But when you're in another trade already, especially a trade like Meta or something like that, you gotta really. But I felt like another thing, I wasn't too worried about it too much, because I'm like, pre-market, I spent like 30 minutes pre-market thoroughly writing out the full trade plan for my whole team. I'm like, everybody don't understand what these levels mean all the time, so let me just put this here. If it lose this level, you cut it here. If it holds this level, you can keep the position. If it does this, do this. So I had a whole plan written out for everybody else though, who weren't on the team on Zoom with us though. And I do expect though, just for those things, if for any reason, if I ever post a watch list or something and you don't understand it, just at me, or at Dino, at me in the chat. I wrote it, and let me know that you don't understand something, because the last thing I want is for y'all to be just overexposed, because, you know, you see what happened, right? I was just telling Wayne earlier today, just because the trades don't go our way, you know, that shouldn't affect your confidence, because if you're following your setup and I know I took those trades because of my setup. Nobody knew that China was going to lose, that China was going to have that. What they did, man, it's crazy what they did, man. China, they said they're not going to, they're no longer going to report their youth unemployment numbers anymore, because they didn't like the way the data made them look. Pretty much, that's what happened. And so they're no longer going to report that data anymore because it made them look bad. But the whole market fell off a cliff because of China. And Europe has sold it off at 3 a.m. It was running the whole night. And so nobody knew that was going to happen. But there was, if I'm just saying, if you don't, I always say this, if you don't know how to read charts or price action, I can always have recourse. Like, all right, cool. I know that I told my team, if we all in the water together and a storm or something happened, I'm like, all right, well, I know that my team members that aren't really good swimmers, I know they got their life vests on, because we already talked about that. If they move, they want to go up, if they can't swim, don't go deeper than 3 feet. But if you do, put your life vest on. We got certain parameters that we got in place that are well-known standards around here that I know a lot of people aren't following, so I've been starting to do things to kind of still, like, I know they're not going to follow it, so let me just still make more adjustments to help them out too. So that's what we're doing. So I'm not even gonna, this isn't a y'all situation. But as far as the watch list go, man, if I just really want to know, like, are the watch lists something that y'all want to see more of, or are y'all cool with the watch list? Because it takes a lot of time to write them out sometimes, and especially if you're doing them pre-market. And if y'all don't want to, if y'all ain't gonna use them, then I can, I'm just serious. It's a serious question. So I know that those watch lists can be helpful, and some people may get. I started doing them again because somebody requested it, but I just want to make sure that that's something that the team is, need, because again, especially this week, man, is coming up. If the watch lists are good, then I'll provide more, but just want to make sure that's something that's good, or for y'all, or not. But yeah, man.
For the watch list.
I like the watch list as it is. I mean, that meta trade that I took, that was strictly based off of the levels that you posted on the chart list.
Okay.
So
cool. I appreciate that. Yeah, and I was wondering, because I know if I saw, because again, it was almost every trade on that that watch list hit. Well, actually every trade on that watch list hit. So what's up, KK?
Yeah, well, I think definitely that should be where anyone that's under a level 4 should be on the watch list, watching, seeing if these levels are going to get hit. Because what I noticed in the group, just an observation, that when I see some of these trades that aren't called out by you, it just seems like there's a lot of trying to make a trade happen, as opposed to the trade just, the setup happening and it playing out. It just seemed like it'd be a lot of forced action that we just don't really need when you really lay a blueprint out for people. You've been consistently doing it for a while, but like this week, how it was, like, since you've been posting the watch list, like everything is being hit. So I think it just needs to be a little bit more trust in your settings. Okay, children.
Now, let me ask you a question. So just to make sure I understand though, when you say a lot of like force, like what do you mean? How can you tell if a trade is?
Okay, so how I see, like, when I see people post in the options wins, I see like several average downs. I'll see like 3-4 times that somebody might average down, and they might get out, and it makes some money. But it's like, did you have to do all of that? You probably didn't have to do all of that. That probably may have not been a good setup, and you trying to force something to happen.
True.
As opposed to, taking a trade that the person that you paying anyway to call out trades is, showing you. So that was just my little observation.
That's a great observation. I'm glad you said that, because that's a very powerful thing too. Because we were just on the largest setup that I was just talking about with the Tesla play, even though that's not an intraday trade. Like I was saying, for my intraday trades, if I find a setup, especially a bull flag, I'm looking for all of the things to hit before I get into that trade now. And especially, you know, that's one of those trades that's not a swing trade. You know, it's a day trade. And you can't just be adding to it while it's going down. It's like you're catching a falling knife. You know what I'm saying? So you keep averaging down and it keeps going down. So that means you're not sure where support is. So if I'm not sure where support is, number one, I'm not getting in that trade. If I'm not sure where support is on that chart, then I'm not getting in that trade, because if that trade gets called out, and because sometimes stocks run faster than, you know, they run really fast sometimes, and you get a setup and the trade just runs extremely fast. So if you get in a trade like that, by the time you get into the trade, it could be in no man's land at that point, like the point between, like the middle where between support and resistance, where it could go either way. But so if it was the retest, it has a long way back down, but then it also has, it's a possibility it could go up. So, or it could be like 80%. It could be, you know, it could be like 20% away from resistance. And as soon as you get in there, you know, people taking profit and you getting chopped up. So now you're adding to that position because you don't know where support and resistance is. So now you're forcing it. You're looking for a time frame that support the trade now to make it make sense. So if it was, the trade was called out off the 5 minute, then, you know, I'm looking to get out of that trade probably within, before that, if I call that trade out like at nine something, like at, let's say like 9:40 or something like that, 9:50, let's say 9:45, 9:50 after the first 15 or something, I'm looking to get out of that trade by 10 a.m. You know, those 5 minute, if I'm getting in off at 5 minute, I'm looking for that trade to take place or to play out within 5 minutes, 10 minutes. That depends on the setup, obviously, because sometimes I'll get into a trade and sometimes you say, well, like sometimes you'll get in a trade and it don't take off right away. I'm like, because I bought it at a key level, a strong key level that was probably on the daily, and I just found an entry on a lower time frame, and I'm okay I'm still waiting for it to break out and take off. And sometimes it may, especially after a crazy selling point or something like that, it could take a little while, but it depends on the setup. But I'm saying if you're playing, you still would know where you're averaging down on the trade though. You can't just because I see that a lot too, but it coincides with the trade, with the Tesla thing I was just telling you about. If I know that I'm planning on holding this trade for probably a few weeks because of this setup, then I know that I can't, if I'm averaging down now, like I said, it's like a video game. I only got like 10 bullets left in this cartridge or whatever. And I know I got like to get through this whole board. I got to preserve my ammo. You know, I can't just use it all up on the first, you know, villain I see. I gotta make it last. So I got to preserve this capital. You just jumping in, trying to just make something happen, but you're not looking at what the setup is. But yeah, so that's definitely telling or whatever right there too. When you see if a trade that didn't last that long and you see that many average downs on that, I'm like, well, hold on. Why didn't you just wait? Like if that means, was it a falling knife? Did it just keep falling? Like, why did you average down here? Why did you do that? You know, versus, because what I do is if I buy a bunch of contracts at once, like I said, I'm doing it for like a bull flag setup where it's going to take off, but I'm taking if I do that, for every time you see me post an update in the chat about the percentage updates, assume that profit is being taken. I'm shaving off that trade each time. You know what I mean? Like you just can't it's certain things. We got certain rules in place that are in place, but she's right though. It's if you're really trying to learn or whatever, you know, you should. And that's why we got those levels now. And I'm ready to change them up a little bit. It's a few things that I'm changing up. I've been working on, but it's like if you're in here and I haven't successfully seen you take 10 of my trades or whatever successfully, and you know, that's because if you can successfully take 10 of my trades or whatever, and I see, you know, you post those contracts or whatever, then now you can move on to those chart alerts or that watch list, and you can use those entries and exits and prove that you can actually do that. you know, and then you graduate to take your own setups, because you got to think about it like this. If you taking the trades that I put in there and you using the trading checklist and you using those things or whatever, all of the things that I see happening to a lot of people in here would not be happening. So it's designed to help you, man, because the more successful you are, the better I am. Like I said, I know I ain't got to watch KK, because like some people be like, well, how certain people are at this level and certain people are at this level. It's a mindset thing. It's a whole lot of things. Like I know for sure that if I took KK on a mission with me, meaning in a trade, I don't have to say anything to her once we get into that trade. I don't got to tell her when to take profit. I don't got to tell her when to average down or when not to average down. I don't have to tell her when to manage her risk and get out of the trade. I don't got to tell her what trades not to get into. She's not going to look. KK is not going to trade Tesla. She's not getting in them Tesla trades. That's not something she likes to trade. She don't like the way it moves. You know, if it's a strange trade or something, or like Disney or whatever, she's not going to take that trade because that's not something she trades. She's not going to take every meta trade if it's at a certain time of day. She's going to wait until the time that she likes to trade, and she's going to trade then, you know, and it's like, so she's trading, she's not just jumping in and everything. And so and I'm saying like, so you can get in a lot of trades and you jump in at different levels and jumping out at different levels. I'm like, okay, you may make some money doing that, but it's like, you know, there are certain levels to trading that shows like whether, because like if I'm in the chat all day, let's just be clear though, like if I'm in the chat all day and I'm talking about, you know, well, the market is going, this is what the market is doing, this is where it's going, and this is what's happening. SPY, if it clears this level, it's going to do this, and right now we got this. Okay, we just got this confirmation. It's easy for you. It should be easy for anybody to trade and make money in any stock, for the most part, if the market is moving. So, but if I'm not there doing that, you know, and you got to really think about those things too. So I would really work on like, and I got those exercises for a reason, because they are helpful. And I mean, if you're really here to learn, I want to make sure that there is a structure set up so that everybody can learn, and just so there'll be levels for you to, things for you to achieve. I know, man, I'm a person that I like challenges. So somebody said, well, successfully get into 10 of these trades and post those contracts or whatever. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna check that off and move on to level 2. Oh, then okay, successfully can, you know, do these or whatever chart alerts or whatever setups from the actual the trade setups or whatever, the watch list or whatever, do that. 10 of those. I'm gonna take on that challenge just because I like to check boxes off. I like challenges, you know, but the issue comes when you skip levels and now you gotta, you know, people always say that, like, I never like the whole fake it till you make it thing, because that means you got to lie about the underlying stuff that they're going to assume, you know, and then that messes up your credibility when people find out that you're lying. Or it's like, it'll mess up the, you know, it'll mess up training too. So I'm like, okay, well, the team said they knew what this was, so I don't got to go over support and resistance for this issue right here. I'm just going to talk about the supply and demand zone. Or the team said they understand how these bull flags work, so I don't have to break this down every single trade when I'm calling out a trade, because I'll do it if I had to. You know what I mean? There's nothing to do that, but the team say that they know, or like y'all can clearly say, like right now, I was willing and ready to go through anything about NVIDIA heading into earnings, but nobody had questions. So on Tuesday before, you know, or Wednesday, when you know, when I'm talking, I'm moving fast and not hitting certain things, and people try to ask me questions about those things, I don't want it to look like, well, I'm acting funny, or I'm not being, you know, being a good mentor or whatever. But no, it's like, that's in real time when it's game time. So this is practice. This is practice when I could show you anything. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and this nobody got, because it's like, you got to think, well, the market is not open now, so people, you know, most people, I don't know what people are doing, and that's why I'm like, lately I just haven't really been trying to focus on that, because I don't want to like preach to y'all too much. I want to focus on the money. So, but like just last week, for example, we had a bad day on Wednesday. or yeah, on Wednesday, you see what happened Thursday, man. Came in there, didn't really wasn't scathed by the market too much, came in there on Thursday and killed those trades on Thursday, and then had a continuation on Friday. And like I said, I wasn't going to call out any trades on Friday because, you know, y'all know I disappear on OPEX Fridays. I don't even come around on OPEX Fridays. And one thing I told the team too, and I'm going to add this to the trading Bible, it needs to be added. If you trading on OPEX Fridays, man, you need to be out of those trades by 10 a.m. You need to be, well, I mean, at the latest power hour, or at least trade the last 30 minutes of OPEX, man. Do not trade that OPEX, man. You just don't, you're going to get chopped up. Now, I will say this Friday though, man, there was so many trade opportunities, but they were, you know, but like I said, I wasn't going to call out any additional trades, and was already in trades. Right. And it was just crazy. And, yeah, it was just crazy. It was a crazy situation. So, but I'm sure some of y'all traded those NVIDIA calls on Friday though. Like, I'm sure y'all grabbed them at those lows on Friday. But I see Todd played the NVIDIA setup the night before, because like I said, right before the close, told y'all if it lose 431, it was going at least to 423. It went all the way down to 415. That was a nice print too. But so I would love to see more of y'all take those trades or make more money based off of some of the words and things that I say. But so I be assuming that y'all understand what I be saying based off of me just typing those things, based off of these types of interactions, you know. So if that's not the case, let me know so I can give more context and whatever, because, you know, of course I win if y'all win, right? So the more wins y'all post, the more proof of concept it is. So I want to see more of that. So whatever, it's like, you know, whatever needs to be done for that to happen, that's cool. But we also making things easier to be found and working on some new things. And so, but yeah, man, I just think this week is going to be a very interesting week. And VIX. We gonna have a very interesting week. And I'm just curious to see how this is going to play out. This is the 5, yeah. It's really crazy, man. We got that pullback, but that was a crazy move on the VIX, man. Here, is that a breakout though? Hold on. So we'll see if the VIX makes some real moves. I mean, technically, they've been making moves, right? But just look at that gap up we have right here, and it's still holding that area. So let's see if the VIX is finally over. It's holding above this 9. So you know, the 9 crossed over to 50, and so the VIX is just on the move, man. So we got a crazy week. So I mean, the fear is rising in the market. So it's going to be one of them weeks, man, that if you not locked in, you're gonna have a problem. But you know, the VIX got a nice little setup on it on the session hour too, and we should be just looking for a nice move. But yeah, man, I feel like again, we got the levels for a reason. So I wanted to get y'all feedback on that too, but I'll ask that in the chat because like on Monday, I posted this before I had the channels all written though, so I had it another way, but I called out that NVIDIA call on Monday, and it went up like 400%, and that was a quick move. But so that was a trade that I would not put in the normal chat because in the normal it was a risky trade, but it was a high probability setup, but it was a risky trade. But I felt more comfortable with people that I knew that were level 3s taking that trade because it was a quick trade, you know, and it did take off, and it ended up running. And I posted the chart and everything in the chat. I saw some other people took the trade too, but yeah, I think it's just for protection, man. Y'all don't know. We got a lot of people in the group. It's a lot of new people that come in and they see the wins and they just jump in trades and they blow in their account. So I got to have some. That's why I was saying to y'all earlier, like if I know that if I taught my team, well, man, you got to look both ways before you cross the street. And I'm like, well, and if they get hit, it ain't like, well, I'm like, well, oh, well, I told you already that the whole plan, I still want to protect the people that aren't going to read the thing that say look both ways or listen to me. So we're going to put some speed bumps right there. So the speed bumps are the levels now. So it's going to be some protection from certain trades. And yeah, because like I said, I can trade a lot, but I've been cutting back on the amount of trades that I take just for the quality of the trades that I take. But yeah, if a setup breakdown, it doesn't matter if you trading your setup, because you see, like I said, on Wednesday, based off of how that went, we had some crazy trades on Thursday, and that had and the market, everybody saw what the market did, man. And so and I see there are a few of you, man, who were able to still capitalize on the moves on both ways on Friday, and go from there. But yeah, the way SPY closed on Friday, man, just kind of give me that I don't know. We're gonna see tonight what they do, what they do with it. But it was a bullish close for the day, just for the day. Obviously, it's still a bear market, but it closed green. SPY closed green on Friday, and it looked like a nice setup for a pivot, man. If we get that 222 reversal, and it closed above a nice key level. So, but it could just be a retest and then a flush down, but let's just see how that goes. But I'm saying, like, man, so I am going to be adhering to like trying to, on the days that I say that I'm trying not to trade, man, I'm really trying not to trade on those days unless there's something crazy going on. That's why, you're forced to trade on a Monday if you call out a swing on a Friday. So, I didn't call out a swing on a Friday. And then so think about the days. I want everybody to do this as homework, seriously. Like, if y'all aren't tracking your trades, man, track your trades. I got something an application that you can use to track your trade. I'm gonna post it in the chat or whatever. And I want you to start tracking those trades. And I want you to look at the days that you trade, like the days that you have the most losses on. And like I always tell y'all, like, even though this is a good day to trade, and it's not now, but I'm saying, like, I'm just pointing it out. Like from 2021 or whatever, my worst day to trade used to be was Mondays and Fridays. Or was it Wednesdays and Fridays? I think it was Wednesdays and Fridays. And I know Wednesdays because they're low volume days and you just get chopped up, and Fridays because you would be trading 0 days to expiry instead of and holding them past 10 a.m. and getting clapped up on those trades. So I knew that was the reason, but I stepped up from having that information, having that data in front of me versus trying to just figure it out in my head. Because when you be surprised what you see when you tally up that information and see where your losses came from, and what trades you took. You can even look in your applications and see what trades you took and which ones were losses. And like them, and what KK was saying, like, you gotta be able to just to people always say be humble, right? But you gotta really be able to do that, right? Or like, be realistic with yourself. Like, I'll say it in a minute, man. Oh, I messed up. It was my fault. I shouldn't have done this, or that was this. But you gotta really, you use that information and you add it to your if you're able to look at that data and say, well, okay, well, damn, this was a bad entry, or I shouldn't have taken this trade this day. I think it'll really help you out in your trading and help you make a lot of money, possibly, because then you'll be able to, you're learning from your mistakes, and you're really you can capitalize on that stuff if you learn from them. So just wanted to point that out. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say about that. Now, this is the earnings that we have this week, man. I'm gonna tell y'all the ones that I'm watching out for, that I'm looking at. I say, so yeah, watching Peloton, obviously, Nvidia, Snowflake up in here. We got Splunk on here, Dollar Tree on here. We got Marvell on here. Now, look, Ulta Beauty, I mean, I don't play that. Those contracts are too expensive for my blood, man. I don't like to trade stuff like that. We got Workday on here. We got Oh, we got Advanced Auto Parts on here. Macy's on here, but I'm saying like some of these stocks. I mean, these are when I'm talking about a lot of them because they're great day after earnings trades. Great day after earnings trades. Where is last quarter? Foot Locker made a comeback because remember they hadn't been doing well because the whole Nike thing. But they made a comeback last quarter. So maybe Zoom is on here. You know, I Zoom maybe after earnings, maybe another after earnings play to watch. But something else. We got Lowe's on here, obviously. Yeah, we got Lowe's on here. And Home Depot had a good earnings. So Lowe's, man, we got BJ's on here. See that kid, look, this COTY, man. So look, so COTY, man, it's been, I don't know if y'all been watching it lately. Let me just pull up this chart for a second. It's been moving. And I don't know what's going to happen with the earnings or anything like that, but let me just go to this chart. Yeah, I didn't even hit that yet. I got hit that one too real quick. But yeah, man, so this thing been on the move. And look at this chart. Hold on. It looks better on another time frame, but I'm gonna hit it here anyway. So we got this uptrend, and this is where it closed, and it bounced right here on Friday. And then I'm gonna make this line thicker so y'all can see that too here. Make it a little thicker. Shit. Hold on. There it is. Okay, cool. So then we got right here, and it's just below this key level here, but it bounced off this level, and then they got earnings at the close on tomorrow. So just something to watch. And maybe, and they may have a run up tomorrow, maybe a trade just to keep on your watch, and it's been running. So that's reason I wanted to kind of show y'all that while we were looking at the earnings. And so they got it's Tuesday before the open, they got earnings. So it's a few of these on here that could be good trades to play after earnings. We got Workday on here, we got Intuit on here also, and so it's a possibility that a few of these could actually be good stocks to play after earnings or have the earnings run up, especially like stocks like Macy's and all of that. So just keep an eye on them. Now I wanted to hit this because I'm right here. So Target. So Target, I got calls on Target that don't expire until 9/15. So like almost like a month on these contracts. The reason I got these contracts is because, like I was telling y'all before earnings, I'm like, it was so oversold and it was at key levels already. And I felt like it would be defended whether they beat or missed earnings because of where it was, right? And so Target, and based off the earnings that they reported, you can see that it just seems it's coming off like they're at the bottom, they're at the end of that negative cycle that's about to turn or whatever. So if you notice, when the market fell off a cliff the other day, Target still held above 130, right? And look, this is the thing, the day of earnings before they reported, Target finished at 125. Target finished at 125. It gapped up for earnings. It gapped all the way up here, right? And it ran all the way up to 139.50, 139.95. But look, it closed at 129 and it didn't drop below 129. So it gapped up for earnings and it held the earnings gap. It didn't drop below it hasn't dropped below 129 since earnings. And again, it's higher than where it closed. It's still holding a gap up from earnings. And the whole market's been coming down. So I'm still in Target, man. I'm still in Target and I'm holding Target because, like we were just talking about watching the stock and having levels on a trade. I'm like, well, it may not happen right now, but I got time on this trade. And I really believe that Target can come back and make a move, because even during the worst parts of the market on Wednesday, and Thursday, I'm saying Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or whatever, Target held up strong. So yeah, so I got those contracts. This is the session hour right here. And just look at the week on this. And this is the weekly. Look how it finished on the weekly. Crazy, right? Came on. It was all the way down here. Came all the way back up here and closed up here on the weekly because it was so oversold, and that's just what it is. That's just what it is. So, and this is the monthly. So it's coming back up on the monthly. It has a lot of room, a lot of stock to make up, right? From those that sell-off that it's been having. But the worst of its days are over. Now, Walmart, on the other hand, you know, Walmart was up. Walmart was up significantly. They had, like we talked about, they had that beat, and they even got it up, but it was not a strong guy. It was good. It was a good guy, but it wasn't strong. And so Walmart this is what Walmart looks like right now. So let's say I still think Walmart can get back up to those 160 whatever levels and stuff like that. But I'm just saying, like, right now it's about Target, because in my opinion, I feel like yeah, it's on sale right now. It's trading at half the valuation of Walmart. And yeah, and they didn't do as bad in the discretionary as everybody thought that they were going to do either. So yeah, and the loss wasn't as bad as they thought it was going to be either, but they actually beat on EPS. They smashed it, and the guide was cool. So yeah, so you just gotta, so I only brought that up just to say that doesn't mean that what I'm saying about NVIDIA earnings is going to happen, because, you know, obviously it's earnings based off of a surprise, and everybody was just betting against Target. But it was like, it's a chart setup, and it's about this, everything has to play out. So I'm still looking at the chart. I'm always look at the chart first, and so see how things play out. So based off of that alone, I feel like we just gotta, you know, just with the market, I gotta Meta, and then I can let y'all go. Gotta hit Meta real quick. So here's Meta right here. I still got my levels on Meta. So Meta had dropped below my first key level, and it came back and closed back above it or whatever. It went up and hit that gap fill, but it didn't complete the gap fill, but it came back up here. So I like that retest, man. I mean, if Meta, let's see what the whole market does this week or whatever, obviously, but it would be nice if we get another, let's see if Meta try to close this gap and make a move. We got the 90 EMA about to cross below the 50. Look like there's possibly more downside for Meta to continue going down, especially if the market, but we had crazy volume that came in on Friday that superseded the volume for the entire month. That was the highest volume of the month that came in on Friday to save Meta. So people buying it because it's on sale. And so we just got to see how that plays out. But I do think that there is room for Meta to come down. Meta will do this, man. Have a move up, a move down. We get some recourse because there are people trying to buy it or whatever, but it couldn't close this gap, couldn't close the gap. And but it did help hold this level. If it lose 280, let's just say, I'm gonna call it 280, but if it lose 280.50 again, then and we get some, I'm looking for a retest of it after it loses it, and then we can probably come down to 271 and so on. But if we close that gap and we get some movement, we can go back up and retest this 50 again. But I'm still not looking for Meta to make a move yet, unless the market makes a move, and because there's weakness. But Meta is on sale still, so I still don't think that unless the market continues to apply pressure, it can come down. Now, keep in mind, I don't care if Meta was to come down to 258. I would be glad if it came down to 258 for me to add down here, right? But let's just see what the market does, man. And so I got my levels and stuff set for what could possibly happen with Jackson Hole, because like I said, if Powell is less hawkish and more dovish for that speech, or just not as hawkish as we are anticipating, the market will bounce off of that, especially if we get a crazy sell-off. But I'm heading into that, man. So, but yeah, we just got to pay attention to the market, man. If you are trading or plan, are your plan is to trade tomorrow, again, just try to trade off of key levels only, and just look for setups. You can't just because a stock takes out the trigger for calls on a daily, where's your setup on the lower time frame? You know what I mean? Like, how long, if you see a trigger for calls, like, well, what is the setup on the daily? What is that chart telling you, right? Because I'm typically looking for a setup on the chart, just because I can look at any chart and just draw a trigger for calls and puts off of, yeah, but if there's no setup on that daily that's giving me a direction or something that I'm really looking at, then I don't really care. But yeah, but for Meta, man, so like I said, you can trade it, you can look at it in so many ways. But me personally, on this one, man, if I'm really seeing, I want to see a real move on Meta for me to take a move on Meta. I really need to see Meta come down. I really need Meta to take out 274 before I really take it seriously to have a continuation down. Just think about it like that. Now you look at it as an early signal if it was to come up and hit. I mean, it already up, but I'm saying if it came back down, retested the 280 price level, held that, possibly get a move, but Meta should be able to close that gap right here if it's going to make a move to the upside. You know what I'm saying? We should be able to close this gap. Otherwise, I'm not looking at it doing anything but probably hanging out around this area for a while to generating a bear flag and then probably continue down in the meantime. But yeah, it's going to be based off of what we see, because Meta has to close the gap for a continuation or to get that 222 reversal that we would want to happen here. Because if it give us a 222 reversal, Meta should be able to take us up to a little over. I think Meta would be able to take us over to 50, close this gap right here if we get a 222 reversal. So get up to like the 294.46 price level. If we were able to get a 222 reversal, we'd be able to get up there. But that would show us how strong the volume is if we were able to get that. But if we can't get that, then I'm looking for possibly maybe just try to close the gap and it comes down. But you got to look at, you'll be able to tell based off not just the market, but just looking what the sector is doing and things of that sort. You'll be able to figure out whether or not it's just doing a pump fake and this is something you should be buying if you're playing a short term, something like Kevin. But what I'm saying is this is all advanced stuff. If you're new to trading and you're just trying to, you don't have to trade every day. You know what I mean? If I'm saying, you know what, I'm not trading that day, I'm like, and I mean, obviously you can use the bot if you want to trade, but the same thing applies. Even if I call out a trade, the same thing with the bot. The bot can call out a trade too. And if the market is doing the wrong thing, it can be an 80% confidence on that trade. And it'll be a trade that'll fall off a cliff too. So, you know what I mean? So it ain't about it. Sometimes the market does. The market news comes out of nowhere. And sometimes it makes the market, fickle. But one thing I will say that I was talking about Friday, when you see the market sell off like it did on Thursday, typically, and you can research this in history, unless it's on the end of the month or something where there's GDP on a Thursday and then PCE data on a Friday or some other catalyst, but or job or non-farm payroll data or something. But typically, if the market is selling off like that on a Thursday, you get a continuation on that Friday. The way it sold off on Thursday, that normally calls for a continuation on Friday. And what happened, we had OPEX though. So you had a lot of positions being closed and new positions being open, and they pinning the price at certain levels to clap. They perfectly and strategically clapped both sides of those trades. If anybody was not trading, if anybody was trying to just like trade intraday on for 0 days to expiry on Friday. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was just looking at how they were doing that. I'm like, that was some big price swings though that they were doing. I mean, that was a good opportunity for a lot of trades on Friday. But those Tesla puts finished in the money, and they closed still like over $500 in profit. And but just watching the way the market moved, man, I still like the way Meta closed on Friday. Still like the way it closed, and it sets up for a possible move, you know, if we can keep this momentum going with the market, because we finished green. But yeah, man, I just if you taking a trade, if you're trading and you're trying to trade, just you gotta wait for a stronger setup, man. Don't try to trade those lower setups and forcing trades. If I'm gonna post some setups in the chat in the chart, I mean in the chat, and you can trade those setups if you decide to trade. I'm basically saying, like, 'cause I probably don't trade tomorrow, but you know, I'm always looking at Mondays like I'm not gonna trade. But that doesn't mean I won't call out a trade for possibly my, you know, my level 2s or my level 3s, or even if I see a perfect setup, I'll call it out for everybody. But I'm just saying, don't anticipate me trading on Mondays, because it's an indecision day. I want to kind of see what the market has and how it's gonna set up and go from there. But you gotta really pay attention to these charts, y'all. And but like I said, if you're forcing yourself to trade anyway, make sure you trade better setups, man. Don't be trading on those lower time frames unless you're trading a lower time frame setup. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, there's tomorrow morning when around 9 a.m. I got a auto message that's going to post, and it's going to have a lot of information in there for y'all, like how to access certain stuff, and like where things are, and help you out with trading on your own too, and just a bunch of reminders that'll do that. But yeah, but just we got two. That's what I'm saying. If you know, we got Jackson Hole coming up on Friday, well, the big Jackson Powell speech on Friday, and we got NVIDIA earnings on Wednesday after the close. Why not concentrate your forces unless you see the perfect setup on your favorite stock that you've been watching on your watch list for a while? Because like KK was saying, man, if you forcing these trades and you just jump, because it doesn't look good either, man. It's like if you gotta because like you ever go to the gun range, right? And they give you a target, right? And you look at somebody, people posting their targets. And I'm like, man, all of those shots on the outside. So you hit that many shots to finally get the headshot, and to really, like, that's not, I wouldn't even show nobody that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't even look good. You know, to finally get that headshot, you had to hit that many missed shots instead of concentrating your forces and just getting in at the right time, and then, or identifying that you got in at the wrong time. Like, for example, it was over a week ago, 2 weeks ago, we was in Disney, and but we already knew heading in the trade that we were taking a risk getting in early. We knew where we supposed to got in. But I told the team, I said, this is where we really should have got in, right here, the real place. And everybody averaged down right there and made a lot of money. So if you don't know where to average down at, you definitely should just be holding out. Just wait, because it's like, again, nothing is worse than I'd rather trade comfortably in my level and master that level first than to put myself higher than I am and make myself look bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine if that was me as a coach, right? You know what I mean? Putting myself at somebody that's way better than my level. So that means you have those expectations of me. And then if I'm never able to deliver, or I'm not going to comfortably be able to perform, and that's going to affect my credibility. So I'm, as a coach, you know, if my students tell me something, I'm going to listen to you, but then the proof is going to be in the trades. You know what I'm saying? So imagine just what you put in, what you know, together, and you really, like, you know, just respecting those levels and practicing accordingly and taking those trades and yeah, because again, like, to me, a real lieutenant, you know what I mean? Like the lieutenants, the snipers and stuff like that, I'm like, the ones I can trust. I'm like, all right, I know that if you see this, you're gonna tell me, or if you disagree with this, you're gonna tell me, or if you don't know or you don't understand what I'm talking about, you're gonna say it. You know, like I know certain people that's gonna be like, well, I don't see that level that you see. You know, I'm gonna let you know. They're gonna let me know. I'm like, all right, cool. Let me look at this and let me break it down a little bit. Or I'm like, oh, you know what? You're right. That's not there. I was looking at the wrong time frame. You know, so but if you're saying that, you know, it should reflect in the way you trade too. And yeah, so KK, you made a point that you were talking about the other day about choosing a stock, and I want you to talk about that because it was the way you put it. It was so substantial because, and it's important that you say it because I think that that because I put this expectation on everybody to choose a stock or something, it kind of it goes a little too far. But go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like, you know, I know that's what you want us to do. You want us to study a stock and be familiar, and that's going to help us, you know, to enhance what you've already taught us. But I just said for myself, when I'm ready to put that money up for real, I'm not gonna. I need to utilize the trade ideas that you're giving, because I know that you are already tested and true. I'm still learning, so you know, just as far for my risk management, I just don't think it's a good idea all the time. Like when like I said, we look at the wins, I hear when people talking, and I'm just like, why isn't that confidence there for the person who you're actually paying to teach you what to do? Like you should be, I should see people doing more, putting more money up on those trades as opposed to, oh, you know, I've been watching this stock and I'm gonna keep trying to trade this stock and I'm gonna keep trying to make it happen. And there's nothing wrong with, you know, learning and doing that, but that's not where the focus of your money should be when we in a community like this. And I just think that, you know, we know that when Antoine comes around, I just feel like that should be the vibe and the energy. Like he's not coming around like that, and that's for good reason. That's by design. So when he comes around and you have now been studying what you've been studying, we should be now ready to ask him these questions and be like, okay, yeah, is this what I see? You know, how do you feel about this? And you know he gonna come through. He gonna give us 1,000 bars every time. I'll be like, oh my God, he can ready to type 20 paragraphs here, as long as we, you know, we're asking the questions. But the confidence for us should be there. That's where the confidence is, because that's when we gonna put that money up. Jazz just said it the other day. She was like, yeah, I just made 800, but if he was here, I was gonna make 3,200 because that's part of that. Yeah, he's gonna solidify whatever it is that I'm doing, and now I can really have that confidence that I should have. But you know, like I said, you know, he want to teach us how to do this, but just following that initial plan first is so vital to being able to like really take off. Like if you following that plan first and sticking to those trades and mastering those trades and going bigger and better on those trades, that's when I think that'll help the person themselves. I speak for myself as well, to help me to build the confidence to feel better about the trading that I'm doing outside of that.
Yeah, no, it was. I'm glad you made those points. Now it was something that you said that I was talking about, where you said it was something you said about every time, because it was the way she put it. It's something that I agree with, but it was something that she said because I forgot you said those things too. It was something that you said about like the time to trade those stocks. You know what I mean? Like you were saying something about just because it was something like just because that's the stock that you chose, or that's the stock that you're choosing to trade or whatever, that and I always say this, but it was the way she put it from a student's perspective, that it's not always time to trade it.
Right.
And,
right.
It was the way she put it. I couldn't put it the way she put it.
Yeah, I can't remember the way I put it, y'all, but that was basically like, just because we learning to do that, it ain't always the time to trade that.
Because think about it. Because look, because I think I figured this out. Because it was something. Because when she said that, the reason I asked her to say what she said, because it was something that I said after she said what she said, and I remember what I said now. Because Meta is my stock, but we don't trade Meta all the time, because it's not always time to trade Meta. So if Google is your stock, just because we trade in this day, Google may have a bull flag on a lower time frame, but you got to think about it like this. A lower time frame can only see 5 minutes into the future. Like a 5-minute time frame can only see A 5-minute chart can only see 5 minutes into the future, 15 at best, right? Well, really 5 minutes. So if you're looking for a smaller, like, cause my goal, I tell y'all this, right? So you want to find the setup on a higher time frame and then find your entry on a lower time frame. But that stock is not always set up for you to play. It's not, it may have a formation on there, but the volume may not be sufficient. You know, it may not be, it may be a weak trend, but you're looking at a smaller time frame. And then are you looking at the whole market too? You know, so when I'm trading Meta, I'm looking at a multitude of things. And so I'm not calling out Meta all the time. There's some times where we play, people say, well, you trade Meta all the time. Yeah, when I feel like there's a setup on Meta, but you know, and then even then, sometimes it don't play out. But look, I feel that, and it's just my thought, and I've actually seen this happen a few times. So it'll be, because I had somebody tell me this before. I'm like, well, why aren't you taking the trades that I call out? They say, well, because the last trade that you called out, it did this and it did that. I'm like, what? Do you know, like, are you like, do you really? So this is where it goes back to like holding, to understanding the charts and stuff like that too. Because if a trade falls apart and if the trade falls apart and I'm trading my same setup, but the whole market fell apart, you know what I'm saying? Then it's like, all right, the setup, it broke down, but I'm gonna trade that setup again. But the next time, like I always use the analogy with the courts, like if I hit a ball and I hit that ball and it goes out, the next time I hit that same shot, I'm gonna hit it, I'm gonna take some of the speed off of that ball, and I'm gonna probably add more topspin to give me more margin and make sure the next shot goes in. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, cool. Well, maybe I could have waited a little longer on this one, or maybe I did everything right and the market fell off a cliff and I'm ready this time. And now this trade gonna come back like the Phoenix, you know, and rise like the Phoenix. And that's exactly what happened. That's typically what happens though. So you can't use the last trade and make that as a reason to go off course, because look, I got this quote, right? I gotta read this to y'all, man. It's real short. But one of the members in the chat said this. They said this, and this is so important for everybody to pay attention to. He said, imagine rolling into a college course with a predefined curriculum and then waltzing into class, arrogantly skipping the steps and telling the professor what you'd like to learn and in what order. How do you think that would work out? You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. And it's so crazy you think about it. So you pay for this course that you didn't know how to do. And you pay somebody that know how to do it, right, to teach you. And they give you some steps that like, okay, if you do it this way, it's not only are you gonna mitigate your risk and you're gonna make a lot of money. So if you take a loss, it's not gonna be crazy, but it's like, because like I said, I'm looking at things like this. The reason it's easy, another reason it's easy for me to get up the next day and just trade if I see my setup, as long as all parameters are in place, is because on the year, this team is up over $20,000 on the year in profits on a per option basis. So if you only bought one contract of every trade that I called out this year, one contract, you made over $20,000. So you know what I mean? So when you weigh the losses to the wins, you're up over $20,000 in profit. Now, if you're not up over $20,000 in profit, you should be up at least like 15,000, like meaning your P&L, you should be up like 15 bands on the year. I'm just saying, like, if you were just to give or take and say, let's say you may have bought 3 or 4 contracts one time on a losing trade, like, let's say you did that a lot. So you may be down, like, you may not be up 20 bands, you may be up like 15 bands or something, but you're up substantially on the year. The only way you're not up substantially on a year, and I'm saying this with my chest because the numbers don't lie. You can look at the numbers, right? That means you're not following the plan and you came in here and you're doing your own thing. Like Strat Op said something to me. I ain't gonna share exactly what he said, but he said something to me. He was like, man, I was thinking, he said he was like, when I looked at those reports or whatever and saw how much, you know, was being made like on a monthly basis, I knew that this was my home or whatever, right? And because if I just was to lock in and follow the plan, I can make a lot of money. And that's the trade. That's the funny thing, because when the dust settles, people put too much. I focus on my losses. I like to talk about losses. We're not talking about wins. We pretty much, when we have losses, we talk about them for hours, right? I like to do that because that's what's going to make you grow. You can't sweep the losses under a rug and just move back on, or just push the whole blame somewhere else, because I'll always take full blame for everything, right? But then when I got people, I got snipers in the chat that I start pulling up receipts like, look, every single one of these trades played out, and they told us to do this and do this and do this, and if I did this, we would have did this. Like on the days that I ain't call out trades, people looking at my setup, like, look, Kevin just said that he used the setup on the watch list to take the meta trade. Jazz says she used the setup on that on the SPY from SPY to take that trade and make the $8,000. $800. So it's just like it. And it's other people in here. And now we got, so we're going to keep growing. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. And I'm going to keep on trying to make it even easier for y'all. But I want y'all to kind of like, whatever it is, I don't care what it is. It's like this. You got to like, at least try to plan and see if it works. You got to do that. Like you can't, because it's hard to do. Because I'm going to tell y'all, discipline is so hard in every aspect of your life. But think about it now. I want you, and this is going to sound funny, but I want y'all to really think about this. Do you switch jobs a lot? Outside of here, do you switch jobs a lot or anything like that? Because then you got to start thinking like, maybe it wasn't those bosses. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm not disciplined. Maybe I'm ruining everything because I can't stick to something. Because if you can't tell me that you can't give yourself 30 days to stick to a full plan, to see if it works out for you and you actually learn something, because my plan not only just it helps you make money, but it's going to help your cycle. It's going to help you your mental toughness as well. I'm trying to create independent traders that can come in here and add value to the group. You know what I mean? So I want y'all to know something though. I want y'all to be clear about one thing, man. Everything that I'm teaching y'all, I'm teaching y'all everything I know, but trust me, there are like so many other levels above what I've been able to teach y'all so far that I'm desperate to move on, to get into deeper volume analysis and do more things with order flow and more things with structure. But we can't go there because everybody is still nobody's mastered support and resistance yet, or proving that they can successfully get in and out of these trades for me to comfortably feel confident about moving on. I don't fear any of my traders like knowing more than me or anything like that. I'm always up, I'm always working, I'm always learning. So I'm gonna keep teaching y'all every single thing that I know as long as y'all keep learning. But when you say and then I don't see that, I'm like, you know what? I was starting to believe in them. I was starting to believe that they really had it. And then I'm like, man, you can't even admit that you were wrong. Look, y'all, I was on Zoom the other day. You can ask Kevin. Everybody, it was like 80 yarders on here that was on Zoom. I was like, man, I effed up, but we're going to do this. But if I never accepted the fact that we made a mistake, then we wouldn't have been able to have any recourse, because I would have just been sitting there stubbornly not saying a word, trying to act like nothing happened. You know what I'm saying? But one thing I was for sure about, I said, but the one thing's for sure, my team in the chat, they okay, because I wrote out a full plan for them, so they wouldn't have gotten to this point. You know what I'm saying? So, and but you got to be able to do that, because in order to grow, you got to say, okay, this didn't work out. So it tells your brain that you need to refocus and do everything. Your body start doing other things when you do that. But when you tell yourself, oh, this only happened because I was at work and I couldn't pay attention to the trade, well, then you shouldn't have got in it. Or I got 3 wins off of his trades, or because he was in the chat all day telling us where the market was going and I was trading on my own. So now I know I can do it on my own. And then you go big on the next trade that you take on your own and you blow your account. So now on the next trade that I call out, that's only cheap, because look, think about it. Y'all know I do this a lot. I call out a trade that's a little more expensive. And if that trade don't work out, the next trade, I'm gonna make sure they cheaper. So I told KK, I said, when I called out the SPY put and the Tesla put, the Tesla call was only Tesla put was 125. The SPY put was $70. Because I was like, I'm gonna call out some cheaper trades, but they gonna print. But I've been watching Tesla for a few days. I did a one-on-one and I had like I told and I posted it in the chat too. I'm like, if Tesla lose this level, it's going here. And then if it lose that level, it's going here. I see a few people followed that and made a lot of money off Tesla last week. So the point is like, man, we're gonna make money in this group, but we up on the year. So so if you're not up on the year, you gotta really get, and again, I don't know the best way to say this, man. I care about all of y'all. I want all of y'all to win, but you really gotta get out of your own way. And because if you're not up on a year, I'm like, look, everybody should at least be up like 15 bands. I'm like, 'cause I'm gonna give or take. I'm like, all right, well, maybe they sold a few contracts or didn't get into certain plays, or they went big on one trade that ended up not going right. All of these things that I'm against, by the way, you know, or haven't mastered. And I'm gonna be honest, like what KK was talking about as far as the averaging down stuff like that, I see that in the chat too, in the wins channel too. I haven't seen many of those trades that looked like they were good entries and exits, because I went and looked at it after she mentioned it. You know, I haven't seen. I'm like, yeah, that it looked like a just a, you know, like, I don't know, like panic buying and selling, like, or just buying that frantic buying and selling. You know what I mean? You can't just average down. You should take your time. You can look. Sometimes everybody, you can't always know where the entry is sometimes, and I must add context to that, obviously, because sometimes you get into a trade setup on a lower time frame and it lose that level immediately, right? And you know, if you ain't cutting that trade because I don't know, I can't even really say, like, it depends, because it depends on the setup. Because I know I was doing a one-on-one the other day, and I was telling the team, I'm telling the person, I'm like, well, if it lost, and this ain't the chart, so, but I was telling them, if it lose this structure, it's right there, just below, just above, like, I think it was a 9 EMA right there. I'm like, it could either bounce off this structure, but we can get a wick down to that 9 EMA to actually, because it was so close. And so when it lost the structure or whatever, because it was a trade, it was a one-on-one during a live trading. And I was like, if it lose that structure, then it had room to that 9 EMA, long as it still closed right there, because it was just right there at they're very close. And I didn't realize this, but so when it lost that structure, it was just right, it bounced off that 9 EMA. And I was just like, well, that could have been an entry. I said, but I wouldn't even take that trade because it lost the structure and they were already in the trade. You know what I mean? And I'm like, so it was one of them things where it was just like, it was quick movement and it was just a lot of action. I'm like, well, you got to have the patience to wait first to see what we'll say, well, if this level gets taken out, then it has room here. And that's as far as I'm willing to go on this trade. You got to have those definitives before you get into that trade, because you can't make them up as you go along, because that's that hope or whatever that we were just talking about before. And but yeah, I just we up on the year, man. We as a team, a full team, we're up on the year, and I just want everybody to be up on the year. So we still got a lot of time left in this year, and I told y'all this was going to be my most profitable to this last, not the first part of this year. I'm saying the second part of this year. I feel it's going to be my most profitable part of the year. I feel like it is. I just feel that. I mean, people say, well, how do you know for sure? I'm like, I don't. It's going to unpack itself. The opportunities happen. We'll keep taking them. I'm not even including the first part of this year. Talking about the second half of this year. I just feel like this. I just feel like my team is going to, like, especially now that I got the levels, I could do different things with different, I can, because now I don't have to decide of, damn, I can't call this trade out because I don't want everybody, some people going to get, so I start thinking about certain members, I'm like, I can't call this trade out. But now I can call certain trades out and I can share those things. And now I feel like more of us are going to be, I know y'all like challenges, so I know that everybody can do it. I don't know one person on here that I don't think that's capable of doing it. I definitely do not see one person on here that's not capable of doing it. So and it's just, it's crazy, man. And so but look, it's a fun fact. I ain't gonna say it, but it's only like 4 people on here that haven't really just been here that long. So, you know, we got some, most of us been in here for a while and know how things work. And so, like I said, that should be motivation, man, to know that, damn, if I stuck to the plan and like I said, don't be afraid to ask questions. But it's the only questions that I'll give you a hard time with is if somebody asks me a question about NVIDIA during the trading week this week, because nobody had any questions about it, you know, today. So I'm not answering no questions about it. Even if I end up in a trade or I'm not answering no questions about it because it's going to be all related to earnings. And I was going to answer it today and we was going to talk about it. Nobody had questions. So so I ain't gonna answer no questions about that. So yeah, I'm you know, I'm gonna stand on it. So, but yeah, but outside of that though, I want y'all to really think, man, if you stick to the plan, you would be up on the year. So those days where we had losses, I mean, don't get me wrong. I tell everybody that I feel like if a new person joined the group or a person that been in the group for a while, never taken a trade before, and they say, well, today is the day I finally got it, I'm gonna take a trade. I want that trade to be successful. I'm not going to look at that trade and say, well, damn, well, we up 20 bands on a year, you know, because that person took a loss. But that's why I got risk management parameters in place, because regardless, that person should still be cutting their trade at the level where I posted to cut the trade at. Or like sometimes lately, if I post a trade and I know I'm a leave or whatever, I'm like, okay, take this trade. But if it loses this level right here, cut the trade. Simple as that, you know. So it forces the team to look at the chart. It forces the team to be responsible, because it's not, at this point, man, it's not realistic for me to, you know, I was talking to one of my mentors a while ago, and they were saying, well, if you so hands-on that they're not going to level up, you gotta leave some rooms, post your watch list, and or call out a trade that you know is what it is, and back off. You don't have to keep updating them on the trade because they know what's going on. You guys, that's what your Sunday meetings are for. Let them level up. And if they don't want to ask questions, they may be shy, you know, they can look at the information in the chat, or they can book a coaching, you know what I mean? So, and that's what I'm pushing them more, because a lot more people, I'm gonna tell y'all this, y'all gonna hear this from my mouth. I put this on, I can't put it on everything, I ain't gonna do that, but I feel deep within my soul that Jamie is going to come up in this chat. She's going to come up and she's going to come up. I believe she's going to come up. I believe she's going to come up and she's going to do what she need to do, because she don't have no fear. She's not afraid. That was probably one of the best one-on-ones I probably ever did, because and I was working with her for like 6 hours. She only paid for 2, but I got on her one-on-one late to help the team get some of them profits back on Tuesday. So we ended up on and off for like a whole 6 hours, and like it's easy to teach her. That's all I'm gonna say. And a real sponge. And so, yeah, that's gonna be one of my projects. That's something that I'm working on now. That's a project. So I already know she's gonna lock in and put those things into action. And it's not just about posting the chart if you don't understand the chart. You know, don't just think because you post in a chart or whatever that helps, you know, moving up. Like if you got a setup about something and you see something happening on the chart, that's good. You know, like I like how Kevin posts those charts. He'll say, look, well, this is what I see about to happen on this chart, or this is a setup that I'm looking at. That's what I'm talking about. You know, if you can post those types of charts that kind of define what you're planning to do or what the stock is about to do, that's helpful information to other people, and it shows that you're able to do it. I mean, anybody can go and reference a chart after the play already played out and say, this is what happened. Now, I love that. If you can talk about how you know how you got in and out of your trades too, that's a good idea too. Like if you can describe like, okay, this is why I got in this trade and this is why I got out, that's good too, because then that shows that you understand, you know, what's going on. But remember, all of these things are to help y'all get better, because it's no reason why we up over 20 bands on a year, and that's a lot of people who blew their account. You couldn't have blown your account if you was following my plan. So that's why I'm not here to try to make anybody anything, but think about why you're here. So, and like I said before, just think about it. If you switch jobs a lot, Think about it. Think about what they've said to you or why, right? A lot of it is discipline and it's trading. And that's one of the laws in the trading Bible too. It's just that if whoever you are as a person, it's going to bleed out into your trading. So if you don't have discipline, if you can't take constructive criticism, without having a problem with it, then that's an issue, and like I said, y'all see it's a lot of changes happening in the group every day, but that was because of some feedback I got from a member, and I didn't like the way it sounded, but I had to ask myself, was it true? And the answer was yes. So I didn't take offense to it. I started working on it immediately because I like it, because I want to welcome that constructive criticism from anybody, and so I'm leading by example, man. And that's what's getting me to where I am now. And that's what held me back my whole life, not having discipline and not being able to take that constructive criticism and avoiding it, because it's not what's going to help you grow. So yeah, man, I think we're gonna have a great week this week. If Jackson Hole go the way we plan or we want it to go, I don't want to say I have a plan for it. We'll see how the market's setting up heading into Jackson Hole. We're gonna make a lot of money, but I want to be comfortable knowing that my team isn't risking the family jewels just jumping in on a swing trade or something when at hopes without knowing what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So, and yeah, but man, everybody should be making progress and look at those rules, man. I mean, there's a channel for it, that level up, that trading levels channel. Look in there. I'm gonna make some changes to it, add some updates to it. Got a lot of things, but I really want the team to just be growing. So I'm gonna add more levels because we got more stuff that we got to do, man. It's more stuff that we got. This gonna be, I ain't gonna reveal too much, but we got some stuff coming up that's gonna be good for the whole team. There's so many things that we haven't gotten to do that we couldn't do. And then we got some new members coming into the group, man. I want y'all to just I ain't gonna say nobody what to try to do or nothing like that, but I'm just saying, let's try to grow, man. I'm gonna say this. With a bunch of new members coming in the group and a few more coming, and now our server is discoverable now, and it's listed on Discord's website and some more stuff now. It's going to be other people just finding our server and just coming in here, man. And what I don't want to happen is I want the people that have been here for a while to be able to be resources, man, because at the end of the day, when you learn something, they say the best way to learn something is to teach somebody else. So if a new person asks a question and you know how to answer the question, you can answer the question. That's going to store it into your long-term memory, because sometimes you remember something, but you can't fully remember it. If you learn something tomorrow and then you teach it to somebody else, you're going to store it now. So even if you go teach it to your dog or teach it to, a stuffed animal or your kid or something, you just speaking that information out or type it in the chat, that's going to help you store the information. So it's just, to me, I wouldn't want to be doing no other job than what I do. I'm saying, not even just the coaching part, or the mentoring part, but just trading. I love the trade. I love the market. I love everything about it. Right. So, but I always say if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. Everybody would love to do that. So to choose their own schedule and just, I can trade this day and do this, or I can do this or whatever I want to do at any time. Right. So, but you got to tear yourself away from the market. I'm putting myself in a position with the team now, because people say, well, why you don't do all of these other things? I'm like, because I'm growing something that I'm building, it's got my focus. And then I got to make sure my team is good too. So, yeah, so I just want the team to understand that we are up 20 bands, over 20 bands on the year. So whatever we do, forget the first half of the year, man, or the first 7 months of the year, whatever we are, we through 7-8 months of the year, man. Forget it, man. We got almost 2 more quarters left, right? And a lot more economic data to come to make this the best that we can make it. But I just don't want you to get discouraged by things not working out. If you hear, most of you, like I said, most of y'all been here for a while, y'all still here. So that means that you can do it and you haven't given up, or you just got a gambling habit. Because I know a lot of people that they got those too. But if you're here for the right reasons, then I know that we're going to see some growth from y'all. I just don't want the new batch of people to come in here and surpass y'all. They got a clean slate. Y'all got a clean slate. So don't let that happen. I don't want that to happen. I want to see some of the people that's been here for a while to step up and start locking into the process, because I don't want to see everybody else come in here and start just following up the process and then moving through everything, and then y'all get discouraged, because that happened already before. I don't want that to happen. So this now, y'all been here, so it's this up to y'all to do it, and the money is here to be made. And if you focusing on a loss, then that's because you over leveraged and you didn't follow the risk management parameters in place. And like I said, I feel good about today's meeting because nobody had a lot of questions about anything. So that means that y'all gonna be good with the watch list. And if trades get called out, y'all gonna be good with those trades. Y'all gonna know where everything at. Like I said, I got some stuff set up for y'all, and I'm gonna set up more things. I'm gonna make sure y'all know where everything at and what to do, and y'all gonna be good. But yeah, I'm putting responsibility on everybody at each level to do certain things. Now, before we get off here, I want to tell y'all, if y'all open a server and look, if you open the app on the side where the channel's at, if you go all the way to the top, there's something called Server Guide. There's a button there called Server Guide. When you get a chance, just click that button and go through the Server Guide. Now, also there's a button that says channels and roles. If you're missing any channel, you can right click on that and click show all channels. But the reason I said click on the server guide is because that server guide is going to ask you certain questions like what you want to do here. And it's going to have you select channels and roles based off what you want to do here. So you'll have that. And then, and there's no reason to miss your notifications and stuff either, because you can mute different channels, and you can do them at different times a day. There are certain channels that I got muted totally that I've never unmuted because I don't need them. I don't need notifications on for them. But Dina got instructions for that in the how-to guide. There's a how-to guide to tell you everything that you need to know here. And if y'all aren't using those order flow bots and using that stuff at the right times, you're doing yourself a disservice. So you gotta, if you're really serious about this, man, you gotta start. You can't just come here, you take a loss, and then you leave for a while, and then come back and jump back into trades again. You gotta lock in during I'm shout out to Cliff, man, because like Cliff will take a loss and tell us that he took a loss, and he'll be in here every single day, still following the market, still talking about setups and watching what's going on and helping with the team. So I already know he gonna take this to the next level. He gonna be at the next level in no time. So because he's always around and he's always doing that, so we need more stuff like that, man. And when you take, and I'm only pointing him out because he had took a loss, and he said it in the group that he took the loss, and then but he didn't disappear. That's when you should lock in the most, when you take a loss, because that's where you learn from your losses. And but the information again is here. And so yeah, and I know some people said they didn't have the watch list channel, but the watch list channel is the chart alerts channel. Most of y'all had that because I see y'all liking the post in there. So, but if you don't have it, like I said, click on that the channels and roles, right click on that, and you can actually go down and select the channels that you want. But if you don't see it, just right click and choose select all channels, and then you can deselect the ones you don't need. And the good thing about this, you won't get notifications for any of the channels that are deselected. So that's a good thing. So if you deselect the channel, you won't get a notification for it. So that's the only caveat too. If something gets posted in the because I changed the name of that channel again, man. That's we changed that other channel to like the novice lounge, because when new players come in, they go in, but anybody can use that channel too. But just so there'd be a place for us to talk to them, because we changed that a long time ago, but it should have never gotten changed. We need a place where we can really talk to or make sure things are covered for new traders, or even anybody that's not that's level 1 and below should really still be using that channel. I'm gonna use it, and it doesn't matter what level you are, but I'm saying, like, I feel that it's gonna be helpful. But yeah, but the process, man, ever since, every day I'm adding something different or taking something out, making things more efficient, because for people to learn. So if you've been here looking at the server guide, again, just look at that. That's just something that anybody should look at. But every now and then click on the how-to guide, because you may just want to, you may need to know something that you just never know about, or you may have been here all this time and never using certain things. Like somebody told me the other day, said they never knew about those the channel with the where they can actually go and use the charts or whatever, until I showed Pedro how to use it on Thursday. They said they didn't know that channel existed. So yeah, so when you want to go, using your phone charts is not it, you know what I'm saying? But we got a chart lookup channel where you can use those charts, and you can see full screen charts, how you would see them on your computer on your phone if you use them there. Because Robinhood, none of that, you're not going to see the charts look like that. So it's best to use those charts. You can choose any time frame, and I put some information in there, but it's just so many things in here that are helpful to you. But if you and it can be overwhelming, but I've cut the channels in half. So I got rid of like half of the channels that we had before that we weren't using, and now we got there's going to be more channels disappearing, but everything is becoming more concise. The announcements channel, you got to look at that channel, man. If you click on the announcements channel, it's an option to follow that channel, so you'll get alerts immediately when something is posted in that channel. Dina posts stuff in there, and if for some reason something changed in the morning, or if there's something important update, is going to be posted in that channel. So when you say, well, you missed something because the chat is too crowded, if there's an important announcement, like, or Zoom got canceled, or there's some financial data that comes out, Dina gonna post it in there, or I may post it in there, and that's all that channel is used for. So important stuff, you won't be able to miss it. But if you notice, it hasn't been a lot of stuff going on in the chat that it really hasn't been too related to charts and stocks lately. We've gotten a lot better, so good. So congrats on that. But yeah, so we just gotta just try to, if you don't know where something is, or something's still not working or whatever, just let us know. But yeah, man, everything is set up, and I've been up late. I was up late last night working on some of these channels and some of this stuff. So that's not your fault, but I'm just saying that I'm making these things work out better for the team. So it's here for you. If all you got to do is click a few buttons and read a few lines, like I said, you can read the whole onboarding stuff in probably less than 10 minutes, probably less than 5 minutes. You can go through all of that, because it's not a lot of information. So it'll help you out, and you'll be able to kind of move through a few things. But like I said, if you need more help, start booking those one-on-ones, man, and start following up on those meetings, man. Like I said, and you got to think about it like this: if you're not up at least 15 bands on a year, then you probably down a lot of money then. And if you're down a lot of money, it's definitely worth putting money into coaching. And so you can get some personalized coaching that fits your style. Like, some people just not going to ask questions. I know a few people like, look, I'm not going to do that, but they've been booking one-on-ones because they like, all right, I need personal coaching. This is what I'm going to do. I'm taking this seriously. And so I'm gonna make sure, like I said, I'm gonna be less accessible, because I've opened up one-on-ones during trading hours too. So at certain hours, it's not during our scheduled time, but I did that for a reason, because I'd be spending a lot of time going over our scheduled time on these Zooms, and I could be coaching during those times. You know what I'm saying? So and there's a lot of people that be wanting to coach during trading hours that need help, and they want real-time help. So I've opened those hours up too. And it's for the people that's serious about this, man, because y'all see the process work, the numbers don't lie. And yeah, man. So it's just some things that we need to be doing, man, and we need to be elevating. I got some things coming up for me personally that I feel that I'm just gonna say take advantage of these coachings while y'all can, because just like the price of the group keep going up, yesterday's price is not today's price. So it's like, I'm trying to really move myself away from certain things so I can focus more on other things. So I'm trying to build up more people in the group, because I still got a position that I haven't been able to fill yet. We actually found this to a little probably TMI, but it's not. Because we got there's this one person that interviewed or that for the position that used to work for Robinhood. So I think they overqualified, but they used to work for Robinhood. Interesting. But we still trying to fill this full-time admin position, and but now so we trying to, but it would in a perfect world it would have been somebody internal, but nobody, I can't trust nobody internal, because y'all won't tell me when y'all make mistakes. So I can't but and that's funny, because like I said, it's about that, man. It's about that, man. I just got to be able to know that I know what you don't know, so I can know where to put you, what to have you doing, and stuff like that. But yeah, man, let's make this a big week, man. Let's just make this a good week, man. Let's show everybody that we can do this. And if you and just to let y'all know, if y'all see that link, man, y'all can share that link, send it to whoever you want to send it to, man. That's the free access link. It ain't like a paid link or nothing like that, but they can join for free access to all of the other stuff, and just help, if they want to empower themselves and do that too, man. Let's push our server up further, man. Let's make a lot of money, man. Because like I said, 20 bands on a year, and my team ain't in it with me, man. So I mean, so do anybody feel that there's some things that they need to work on? And again, you ain't got to ask these questions now. These are homework, man. You want to feel, if you feel like there are things that you need to work on, write those things down. But the trades, man, the trade part, I want y'all to definitely focus on that. I want you to go back and look at all of your trades, and I want you to just answer, be realistic with yourself, man. It's not working. It's not working that way. I want you to, if you learn the foundation first and you get your mind right, then you can go do your own thing. Just think about it like this. Even if you like don't want to, like, if I just say, man, even no matter what you feel about nothing, if you're here to learn what you need to learn from you, then you can go do what you want to do. You don't got to listen to me, but just at least learn what you came here to learn first. You know what I'm saying? Imagine doing that. You only got a few things you need to learn. I'm teaching you everything. I'm not hiding nothing from you, because when you leave here, you're not going to be able to say, I didn't teach you everything. I'm going to teach you everything. And then I got so many things that I can't wait to show y'all when y'all ready to be shown those other things, man. So that we just scratching the tip of the surface right now. So let's just make this a profitable week, man. It's the end of the month. We're almost. And man, that's all I got, man. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all Sunday. Sorry for keeping y'all over. I'll post everything in the chat. And if it's something that y'all missed or need, just let me know, and I got y'all. Peace.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon or evening.
I think, bro.
All right, bro. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Antoine.
All right, y'all.